Okay, we're live now.
Cool. All right,
Hi,
so I'm posting it in the Google chat right now. As much as that looks like a horrible meme face, that is actually how you say tote in Greek.
Yeah, no, that's
nice.
So the ancient Greeks would say, "Tote, what's this?"
Well, the last character there, that's more like that's a hard th. Because that's the whereas an eth is like them, soft th.
Yeah.
According to IPA, International Phonetic Alphabet.
Yeah. It's
or
bizarre.
India Pale Ale if you're beer-minded like me.
Oh God, the Dragon Knight cometh.
Yeah, I'm just testing out the DPS on our new build.
Nice.
So,
okay.
Before we get into anything, I'd like to draw attention to my sweater.
What about it?
Epic.
Well, look at it. Look at it.
I'm going to be switching to my stam blade soon, though, to do my surveys.
I will present me to everyone, so you're forced to look.
Okay. Here.
All cries are waking. Whitest of whites, blackest of blacks.
You got a shirt about a house of Mongoloids who keep losing territory because they can't adapt to change.
Yeah.
I'm not wrong. And that's what makes me the saddest.
I just like the tentacle faces.
I need to take down my tree soon.
Oh yeah, no.
So much work into it.
Before March, like, are you even trying?
So you see Vivek is the top.
Oh, you're talking about like in game. Okay. I was
Yeah.
talking about like my tree over here has a Pikachu.
There's a crow in there too.
That's why I'm glad I didn't have a tree. And we haven't had a tree for like I think the past 3 years. And so we just put on some lasers outside.
That's kind of awesome. Okay, so Charlie, you were going to talk about Praxis and how Malakath gave you some kind of insight on
on alt-Mary culture, yes.
Okay,
right.
Fire away.
So, as many of you may be aware, and dear viewers, anyone who's actually watching this video, I know clearly not right now, just in the future. As many of you may be aware, one of Malakath's most well-known comments was when he was being asked, is there any truth behind the story that Boethia ate you and then defecated you out and you turned from Trinamac into Malakath? Malakath will often tell you that story is far too literal-minded for my tastes. Some people have taken that to mean, oh, there is actually truth behind it. He's saying that it's very literal. He's saying that it literally did happen. But I think we should take a look at what Malakath was prior to being the Daedric Prince of the Spurned.
What is that?
Prior to being...
it goes like this. Sorry.
I love slowed music.
Well, slowed music has more screams. So.
That's right.
Prior to being the Daedric Prince of the Spurned, Malakath, as we know, was Trinamac. He was the Aldmeri god of war. And I think something that should be noted by many is that the gods will often represent and reflect the culture that they come from, or the culture that worships them. In that mind, I want to take a look at Altmeri culture. In many cases in Altmeri culture, they will use grandiose words. They'll use very poetic versions of words to refer to the mundane. I mean, hell, they prefer using it was the Altmeri word for sewers rather than just saying sewer, because they find the word sewer to be disgusting. They prefer the much more poetic and beautiful sounding word. I should point out that I only know that because as I was looking more and more into Praxis, I ended up finding dialogue from a guard captain.
I'm sorry, I just logged in and one of my surveys was literally right next to me.
Fantastic.
Cool.
However, when we take that into account, when Malakath says that's far too literal-minded, I think we should take into account that he was once Trinmac, that he was once an ordinary god of war, and that he understands the nature of poetics behind words. He understands that in many cases you can be told, you can say something or do something that really isn't as grandiose as it sounds, but rather you're adding the poetic flair, you're adding more drama to the events. It could be possible that Boethia did literally eat Trinamac and then poop him back out. Alternatively, you could view it as Boethia had corrupted his essence. She had taken his essence, said no, and forced him to change. Either of these could be plausible. Now we look at praxis and apraxis. Some people would seem to take praxis as to refer to your own personal goal in life, your own personal path. As of now, I believe that to be false. What I think praxis truly is that it's literally just the law. Not strict law, but I mean literally just the law. It's just the general laws. Don't jaywalk. Use your turn signal. Please stop at the four-way stop if it's telling you to do so.
Would you think it's also like when you're applying it to more of a conceptual world that's becoming more solidified, do you think it would also count as like the laws of physics themselves?
I don't think it would count as laws of physics, primarily because thaumaturgy is a thing, and thaumaturgy very frequently requires denial of the laws of physics.
Yeah.
But I do see what you're trying to get at with that.
Yeah.
As far as apraxism goes, I have now seen 3 examples of it. Because I went ahead and quickly did the Mother of Rats quest. The Tale of Two Mothers.
I love that quest.
Me too.
So here's the thing. Due to that quest, we get 2 solid examples of reasonings behind someone becoming apraxic. Along with that, we also have the book The Price of Praxis, an autobiography of someone explaining how they became, what happened in their life when they accepted their Callian, what happened to cause them to become apraxic, and how they eventually got their praxis back. If we view praxis in terms of individual citizens, we can view it almost as a case of you are a law-abiding citizen and you understand that your actions are your own to make and they have consequences. Effectively, it's saying that that once you turn 18, I think that's what the age was, that he was 18 or some similar age, is the equivalent of them adding a ceremony to when we in America turn 10. Because the moment you turn 10, you are therefore responsible for your own actions and can't be arrested if you break the law. In this context, the Callian ceremony is similar. It's just that you're adding an actual ceremony, you're adding poetic flair to something fairly mundane. But now let's look at the 3 examples of how you become apraxis. In The Price of Praxis, he becomes apraxic because he kills a man. Yes, he very much makes it clear that he was drunk, wine was on his breath. But that does not matter. He killed a man. Like, even here in the real world, it doesn't matter if you're drunk. If you kill a man, you are going to be held responsible for your actions. Even if it's not as severe as if you were to, say, kill a person while completely sober. The other 2 examples are in the Waterworks. The Dunmer woman claims that the Altmer and their laws are far too strict. That she has been labeled apraxic just because she punched a bailiff in the face. Now let's think about that for a moment. A bailiff is an officer of the law. So she also states that she wasn't even sober at the time. So it is both drunken disorderly conduct and assaulting an officer of the law. Those are both pretty violent crimes. Well, the first one isn't violent, but you can see what it's getting at. The actual outcome of what she did is violent.
Hmm.
Lastly, there is the mother of rats. She states that she became apraxic primarily due to a very stupid mistake she made years ago, where out of love, out of wanting to be with someone, she falsified her own birth records to try and make it seem as though she was regal, that she was of royal blood or high class blood. Now, that alone is a pretty bad crime, because when you get right down to it, that alone is falsifying records that Altmer take very seriously. You really shouldn't be falsifying your own records, because that can lead to problems later on in life.
Very bureaucratic.
Yes. However, the outcome of her actions is that 42 people died because there was such an outrage between families, and a fight sparked out. So again, from her actions, 42 people died.
Yeah.
At that point, it's no wonder that she ended up getting labeled apraxic, because she made such a stupid decision.
Yeah, it's like it couldn't, like, it might have not ended up that way, but it did, and her responsibility towards that is still very relevant.
Yes. Now, in the Price of Praxis, and also from dialogue, we understand that there are seemingly two, possibly more ways to become praxic again. The first is through hard work. You have proven, by becoming apraxic, through your actions, you have proven that you can be a detriment to society. Now that no one will want to deal with you, now that no one will want to interact with you, can you still be useful to society? Can you still prove that you can be beneficial to society? That you will actively work to support your local culture, to support your local area? The other way is to put your Callion back together. Now, I have no doubt that the Mother of Rats was given her Callion back after it was shattered, because I don't believe they would ever do a scenario where I shatter your Callion and I throw it to the winds. Because no, it seems like even when an individual personally takes a life, rather than by proxy taking a life, even then your Callion is still given back to you. You're still given a chance. With all this said, it becomes a very interesting scenario wherein I don't believe apraxism is this grandiose, very bizarre punishments for even the slightest of changing of your path. Rather, it seems almost like apraxism is Somerset's answer to not having prisons.
It's like a social contract.
Yeah. Rather than having a prison that you'll sit in for years, rotting or trying to rehabilitate yourself, you're instead told you will no longer be accepted by society. Now go out and prove that you should be accepted. Almost in a way of, when you are born, society automatically assumes that you should be accepted. But because you have been labeled apraxic, you proved that society was wrong. Now prove them wrong again and make yourself accepted again. Or alternately, just live as apraxic.
Yeah, you can also see that there are some people who prefer to live as apraxic as well.
Yeah. All right. That's another thing. The fact that when I went down to the waterworks, there was an Altmer, yes, the Mother of Rats, but then there was a Dunmer, a Bosmer, and an Orc. And all three of them were saying that they were aprax. And I find that very weird, because it's a Dunmer, a Bosmer, and an Orc. Technically, none of them were even part of Altmeri culture to begin with.
I wonder though, because it's basically like their version of the social contract. So I'm wondering if like these people were once a part of their society and they just didn't prove themselves. So they're just like, okay, well, maybe they don't have another home to go to.
Maybe. It could also be that they may have been migrant workers, so they were accepted into Almer society, but then they did some crime that caused Almer society to kick them back out.
Yeah, I can see that.
That being said, I haven't seen a Ousters yet, but Ousters does seem to be the equivalent of, like, if we assume that Aprax is prison, then Ousters is jail. It's for less serious things.
Yeah.
Which I would assume would be things like burglary or graffiti or whatnot.
The petty crimes.
Yeah.
Stealing the sweet rolls.
Listen here, motherfucker. I have lost too many orange rolls to these roving bands of vagabond children.
It does suck. Lose your sweet roll.
With their bizarre Cockney accents despite being from Texas. And their raggedy clothing that's covered in soot, and I don't know how because there aren't really any chimneys around here big enough to fit a child. It's quite bizarre, and I'm a bit worried.
Hey, you say in Texas?
Yeah.
Do you live in Texas?
Do what?
Live in Texas?
Yes.
Same.
Same.
Never left. We all live in Texas? Jeez.
No, that was a lie. I don't live in Texas.
Well, I was going to say, like, you're posting...
Yeah, aren't you Californian?
Yeah, it sounded like you're California. You're posting...
I used to live in California. I do not. I'm a little farther north than that.
Mm.
Washington. East
I actually saw 5 whole flakes of snow today in North Texas. Isn't it awesome?
Yeah, it was
know,
snowing.
right?
It was snowing last night. It was melting today. So walking around, it's all this like wet, gross, sloppy crap. It's terrible. My toes got wet.
Ugh. Yeah, that's an interesting concept. I also kind of on the idea of Boethia that we talked about a little bit briefly in the beginning there. I was having a conversation with someone today about Fawn Nuit Hen, and like how exactly is Fawn Nuit Hen defined as being Boethia's son? And I was kind of thinking about how the fact that the Ed-Ada basically become the El-No-Fae, and the El-No-Fae become mortals, and so they're already mortals, but they become like present day.
Ed-Ada to Ada to El-No-Fae.
Yeah.
To pre-mortals to mortals.
Yeah. So I was thinking about the possibility that the creation of the Mundus could have been a potentially catastrophic event, probably even like a traumatic event to the Ed-Ada, and well, not even really traumatic. It was just like a groundbreaking event, and I was thinking that Boethia, when consuming Trinimac, it was such a shaking, like catastrophic event that from that split apart Fawn Nuit Hen. And then I was thinking, yeah, since the Daedra didn't really take place in the creation of the Mundus, maybe like the event of the Mundus being created was so catastrophic that they just began to split apart into like different beings, and then eventually just became mortals. So I was wondering that like Fawn Nuit Hen was probably just a split apart version of Boethia, like, and if it continued to go down that chain, you would just keep having any kind of like large sapient being, like that would be at a deity status, would eventually just split apart into a bunch of smaller, less powerful beings. Where the heck is this survey?
I pulled up Fawn Nuit Hen's lore page because I had actually forgotten his personal story.
Well, he's a forgetful boy.
Yeah, he is.
It's fitting. I just like how they gave him more more story in ESO or in VMA. There's one all the way at the top. And Korai region is weird. I love it though. It's my favorite region. Not very navigatable though.
Yeah. Bankorai is bizarre.
That's where my Breton that I'm playing right now, that's where he's from. It's Bankorai.
Oh, nice. I don't know. In the case of Fanuit Hen, it could be that he is a mortal fragment of Boethia. Another possibility is the concept that a Daedric pin. Do what?
I wouldn't say mortal, but like a shard.
Yeah. He could be a shard of Boethia. There is also a possibility that it is completely possible for a Daedric prince to impregnate someone. More in the sense of a Daedric prince performs an act that a mortal body would perceive as impregnation.
Yeah, it'd just be like different. It's more conceptual.
Yeah, but it becomes literal for the person.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, it's a bit sketchy.
Share your thoughts.
It's sketchy at best and riddled with tumors at worst.
I mean, you can go several different routes on it. Though it's a book that's extremely, well, yeah, to use you guys' term, sketchy. What's the one, Andrew? It's the one that talks about mating and the different species can't, the different races can't reproduce together.
Notes on racial phylogeny and biology.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Right. So that one says that there's no data on whether or not a Daedra and a human or elf or whatever can reproduce.
Yeah. Though
here's the trick, and this kind of goes back to my idea that Daedra are ontologically oriented in a way that is negative over against the Mundus, and the Mundus is oriented over against their ontology is oriented in a way that is positive. Positive and negative cancel each other out.
Now, see, I believe we brought that up like 2 or 3 lorecasts ago, wherein I chimed in the concept that Mundus isn't positive; it's neutral. It's a net zero, whereas Aetherius is the positive one.
I remember talking about that. I don't know, because...
And if we're going by the concept that everything in Elder Scrolls might actually be tripartite, then it actually makes total sense.
I would argue not Aetherius, but that the Grey Maybe is the 0, and Mundus is the 1, because Mundus is where Lorcan tried to do something, whereas the Grey Maybe is pure potentiality, which is neither positive or negative. And Oblivion is negative. It's the no. So Oblivion is no, Mundus is yes, and the Grey Maybe is, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, but then Aetherius becomes double plus yes, and that gets dangerous.
Maybe is a word I covet above all else.
Aetherius is tricky. I don't know. I'm thinking back. Is Aetherius where it all began? Is that the Grey Maybe? I'm trying to remember.
Jonathan says that the Grey Maybe is Mundus, which I'm not sure I agree with that.
I mean, I can kind of see that.
As I mean, I think of the Grey Maybe as the overlap between Anu and Padme. That's
right.
Yeah.
The beginning place.
So while Mundus is included within that, it is not wholly and entirely
where's that?
Mundus. It's the
Where's
area.
that picture that can help out with
It's
this?
a place for possibility, basically.
Yeah.
All right.
The trick is to remember that all of the places and tests are like nesting dolls.
I am posting a picture into Google Chat that I feel could potentially help with this situation. It also might just make it more confusing. Who knows? I think the one part I don't like about this picture is that much of it is quite accurate.
Oh, I love
It
this
makes-
mouse voltage.
I always
Sweet.
have problems finding these pictures. Croesus.
I just have it.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, this is actually pretty old. This is from at least like 2014, 2013.
I have an
It's from
insane
1997.
to just drink Creatia. Oh,
Oh god, Azure Plasma is bizarre.
Yeah.
All right, so I learned more about vestiges.
so tasty.
I learned more about vestiges and why the players are the way they are. And it's really weird. So the first thing to note is that no Daedra has a soul. Understand that souls are inherently Anuic, which is interesting, I would say.
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I agree with that.
Well,
I was gonna say, I would probably
here's
make
the
him a
thing.
prisoner.
Here's the thing. Souls are inherently Anuic. Meanwhile, mortality is inherently Patomaic. So when you combine the two together, you get a net zero of a person. On the other hand, Daedra do not have souls. They have a vestige, which can be viewed less like a soul and more like the core to a golem. In other words, Daedra are self-aware golems.
Yeah, I don't think
Concepts.
Yeah, I kind of.
Like they're sapient concepts, basically.
I think of it more as a matter of mechanics,
Yeah.
really, because
Well, all right.
if we look at a soul of a mortal, we've got split into two main portions. One being the animus, which is kind of the battery part, the bit that makes you move and animate. And then there is the AE, that is the self, and that is further split into memory, and then maybe personality. I mean,
And this is where it gets weird with Daedra. A Daedra's vestige is just their animus. That's all That's all Daedra actually have.
Whenever you're doing dolmens, there's one thing where Bullock Ball talks about like when you cast aside the animus or something. I don't remember what exactly he says, but that might.
Hold on. Let's see if we can actually find.
He does say that the animus is cast, but the animus returns.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
but then it would be a different Daedra when it came back, if there is no AE involved.
Yeah, we know that's not true because there are Daedra that you kill in Oblivion who come back.
I mean,
there's that one guy from the Mythic Dawn that gets killed and then he keeps coming back.
Yeah. I mean, if we were going to go that route, then it would be mortals from Mundus who don't have an AE, because when they die, they don't come back as the same person.
Right.
They may come back. They're an entirely different.
No, I don't think that's correct. I believe you are the same person. It's just that while you're alive, you don't know you're the same person. The concept of by the time you come back to life, your mind, you cannot recall. When you die, you will recall everything. But before you die, while you're still alive, you cannot recall everything. You can maybe recall a tiny fraction of what you once were.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
Anywho,
it's tricky with the dream sleeve because the soul that dies and passes through the dream sleeve is eventually stripped of memory and reduced to raw soul stuff or creatia, and then funneled back into the mundus as another being. But some souls, the personality, AE, etc., persist beyond death. Shalador is a good example.
Yeah.
Who's a good example? Sorry.
Shalador.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I usually go to Nerevar.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like Azura preserved a lot of Nerevar's.
The Nerevarine doesn't remember what's going on.
Yeah, because I always kind of figured it was because what is it Degathur says if he happens to kill you, he says, "Oh dear me, better luck on your next incarnation."
Yeah.
Which tells me that Nerevar died. His AE was floating around for a little while. oh, it came back, and then we get all the false Nerevarines who didn't quite walk the path. They had the capacity to be a Nerevarine, but they didn't do it right.
Right.
So then we get Antaria and Kunun Chodla and Peakstar. These are all failed incarnates. They were Nerevar at one point, but that AE has left them, and they are now, whatever the leftover is. Maybe they are the culmination of their memories and animus, something like that. And
Andrew,
then, I
was just going to ask, do you think that this persistence of the Nerevarine, I don't know, AE or whatever you want to call it, could it be because the Nerevar was aligned with Azura? And so the continual beingness is drawn from a relationship with the Daedra?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Maybe.
I mean, it could be, I guess. I mean, we know that there are other. I mean, another character I can think of who has a similar kind of thing is Hunding.
Yeah.
And so I mean, we can draw parallels between Nerevar and the Hunding. For days. But the Cyrus the Restless is a Hunding, just as was it Divad who was a Hunding?
Yeah, Divad Hunding and Frondar Hunding.
Yeah. So they walked the path and they took that mantle. Not to imply that they mantled anyone. They just took on that role. Because they were the Hunding. They received that AE just by happenstance. They won that particular lottery. And so the Nerevarine and all the false incarnates before him or her, they all had that AE as well. And so they came back, they were that person. But they were also someone else making new memories. And so it's that essence. That would be what the AE is. So now with Daedra, when Daedra die, they reform, they come back, they're the same Daedra. So, I mean, they may maintain their memories, but they inherently have the same identity, whether they remember it or not.
All right. But back to the thing I was bringing up with vestiges. Of course, the other form of a vestige refers to the living creature refers to as vestiges, which are mortal creatures who have their soul torn out and replaced with a Daedra's vestige. The resulting Daedra forms an imitation of the mortal's original body from chaotic creation. New forms of Daedra are known to be created in this manner, as Daedric princes lack the ability to truly create and must simply imitate the Mundus. But then, here's the concept with the Anuic soul, referring primarily to Soul Shriven, who seems to be a concept of a failed vestige, like a vestige where the animus didn't fully take hold, which is to say that the body that is technically the person's individual body, that is not a Daedra imitating them, but it's a bizarre life.
Because what's the body, the physical form called? There's the animus and then something else.
I'm pretty sure it's just referred to as the body.
It would be corpus in Latin.
Corpus.
Yeah, it would be corpus.
Yeah, you got the animus, you got the corpus. The corpus is the physical manifestation.
Here's an interesting paragraph. While Soul Shriven lack the focusing principle of their Anuic souls, scholars theorize that if they possess some other intrinsic Anuic aspect, they would form an unflawed body in Cold Harbor that was a perfect duplicate of the body worn on Mundus. Should this individual bear a sufficiently high Anuic valence, their body would form almost instantaneously upon contact with Padomaic Creatia. Further, scholars extrapolate that such an occurrence would take place if Mundus was subject to an existential threat. In this situation, the heart of Nirn would spontaneously generate such individuals as a way of defending itself from destruction. It would also be possible for Soul Shriven to restore their physical form if they became reattuned with Nirn. So in other words, through this theory, all players in ESO are technically just white blood cells.
That's what I kind of thought of Schizarines being like antivirus software.
What book is this?
This information is primarily coming from, let's see, what are the sources? Chaotic Creation of the Azure Plasm and the Prophet's Dialogue in ESO. The Prophet's Dialogue in ESO is primarily referring to absorbing a sky shard to realign yourself with Mundus.
God, I hate Craglorn's map.
Because if we look at the word vestige, a vestige is literally a vessel. So when I hear vestige, I hear something that is empty.
Oh, well, shit. In that case, yeah, Daedra is totally a vestige. They're not mortal. They don't have that mortal spark with them. Their soul is quite literally just empty.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't buy the idea that that they don't have soul. I'm not sure I agree with the fact that all souls are anuic. I think that's kind of a silly thing.
Well, I think the thing there to think of is the concept that Daedra, again, that Daedra might have something different from a soul. That they don't have a soul in the sense that we think of it.
Because they would have to have an AE one way or another.
Yeah.
They'd have to have an AE and they have the Animus. Those are the two.
Well, that's the thing. They could totally have that. It's just in a different structure from how we set it up.
Sure, which is fine. I mean, and maybe anuic could be used just to specify, souls from Mundus. I mean, I would buy that.
Yeah.
Sure. If then we create a division in souls, we've got anuic souls and patomaic souls. Patomaic souls being largely Daedra, which are more resilient over time.
But again, it may very well be that they have quote unquote patomaic souls, but it's the similar makeup to a soul, but it's not how a soul works.
Yeah. So I would think of it, a Daedra's soul is less complete than a mortal soul.
Yeah.
That's why the vestige is missing something, whatever that is.
They're missing that divine spark.
I kind of see it as like the prisoner is technically just a puppet, and then we as the players are the hand that's inside of the puppet. So the Daedra lack that
guiding hand.
Yeah. And also, technically, the vestige / prisoner / player character does have a soul. It's just not visible to, or not comprehensive to anyone who is in the game, because it's going to break the fourth wall. I don't nothing is like sentient. It's all like NPCs and writing and things like that.
Yeah.
So going, not to be, troublesome, but Merriam-Webster defines vestige as a trace mark or visible sign left by something vanished or lost.
Mm.
So when you have a conversation with the prophet, and I know this because I'm replaying the main quest because I'm insane and I want those skill points. When you first talk to the prophet, he tells you that he refers to you as a vestige because you're only a piece left of what had been you, or something pretty darn close to that. So, and maybe we need to be careful about defining the difference between soul shriven and vestige. Vestige is a name for a specific soul shriven, but that doesn't mean what's happening in the vestige is the same as what's happening in the soul shriven. Because when you go back to Cold Harbor and the mission to
1% health.
when you go back to Cold Harbor in the mission to get Tharn, you talk to, there's a couple of books, and you can talk to a few of the Shriven, and they're slowly losing their memories. And they're just basically becoming hollow shells.
New headcanon.
I'm all about it.
Soul Shriven, they are leaking water from their eyes, ears, and mouths. Just because they're losing their memories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I will say something regarding the vestige. The reason Soul-Shriven as a whole are all called vestige, according to Dr. Rythandius, the author of Chaotic Creation of the Azure Plasma, in the very first sentence, he says, "As a doctor of transliminal mysticism, I've long been interested in the soul-body problem and reformation of Daedric body post-banishment and the formation of the body on the essence commonly called commonly known as a vestige." Now, let's see if we can actually find out. Nope, here it is. Then there are the poor slaves, known as the Soul-Shriven. Each is a mortal kidnapped from Mundus at the time of death, and his or her soul is stolen by Moloch Ball for some unthinkable purpose, and given in exchange for the vestige that enables him or her to form a counterfeit body here in Cold Harbor. But they are not native to Oblivion, so a Soul-Shriven's body is a sad imitation of the body worn in life, suffering rapid wear and decay until it dies, a death that is no liberation, for its vestige only forms the body once again, over and over, ad infinitum.
Which is why you can't truly die in ESO, because...
I feel that gives an interesting view as to what Soul-Shriven are, because it's referring to them as a vestige, even though the vestige is also effectively just the creation powering them. So in a way, you can look at it as the guy's basically saying that the Soul-Shriven isn't even formed enough to really be referred to as its own individual thing. It is nothing but.
I'm not sure I take Dr. Rythandius very seriously. The first major issue that aside from the composition of a soul, is he says that Sovngarde is in Aetherius. And
if I recall, it is a fraction of Aetherius.
The common consensus is that it exists on one of the moons.
No, it is. It is in Aetherius. That's old lore. Because MK said that when you look up at the big shiny thing in Sovngarde, you're seeing Nirn.
Yeah.
And that would be seeing Nirn through the hole.
Oh, there's clips. Okay. Oh gosh.
Okay. See, all right, that's where Andrew almost lost me, because I was thinking like, wait, I've never once heard the concept that it was on.
Yeah, and it was MK stuff. He implied that on the moons.
It was implied at one point, yeah.
Okay. But now we know that it is quite literally in Aetherius.
Because we know Shore and Lorcan, and then what the moons are supposed to be is the body of Lorcan. So,
I mean, I'm down with the idea that Sovngarde is on Lorcaj, in the den of Lorcaj. I could live with that.
Yeah.
It definitely makes things funky.
Yeah, it really does. But at that point, where are the far shores then? Are those also on the moon? Are we going to say that every afterlife is on the moon?
Why not?
I always figured that. I had wondered at one point if the far shores were the shores of Tamriel and next Kalpa, and so via the walkabout is what you want to be on. You don't want to get to the far shores. You want to get to the walkabout, because then you bypass the Kalpic cycle and then you return to Tamriel.
Yeah,
and that's kind of the idea I had from the past.
Now again, the Red Guards are a very interesting concept to me, just because of the idea that we have brought up in the past, that they aren't actually from a specific Kalpic cycle. They are not created, but they are not technically native to the Arbus. Mm-hmm. They were native to what Anu once lived in before Anu became the Dreamer.
That's
so you can view it as the red. That can also be viewed.
That's only assuming you're accepting my ideas on the subject.
Yeah. Now that also leads to a very interesting thing as to why the Red Guards seem to never change, like why they seem to carry the same culture forever. even in the face when their culture should be changing, and yet it just doesn't, because that was the culture Anu had grown up with. And since it's a culture they had grown up with, but had since decided, I don't want this to define who I am, that kind of locks it in to Anu's mind that that culture will always be X and never change. It will never be Y, Z, or Q.
Yeah. I think Anu's calling them stale.
Yeah. That's why I've also brought up the concept that the Altmer would effectively be the concept of flexible traditionalism, while the Red Guards and the Yokudans are rigid traditionalism. The Red Guards and Yokudans cannot change. Meanwhile, the Altmer can change, but they're slow to change. They're skeptical to change. They want to understand everything about what they're changing before they change it.
I just want you to know, this is fucking delicious.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Oh, it's chocolatey and.
But I believe Mac has brought up in the past, whenever I've talked about how the Altmer are able to change. I believe Mac has brought up the idea, yeah, but they take forever to do it. But as I look into Altmer culture, I can understand why they take forever to do it. Because imagine it like this: you create a new potion, and this is a potion of beefy McMuscles. You're like, hey, drink this potion, and you'll get beefy McMuscles.
Wizard, got it.
Yeah. Hey, drink this potion, and you'll get beefy muscles, and you'll look fantastic. If you were to sell that to a group of Bretons, or a group of Nords, or a group of Imperials, or really any of the races of men, they would immediately buy it up. They don't care about the ramifications. You probably don't even know the ramifications of this potion yet. And then later on in the line, you find out, oh, it makes your dick tiny. Oh, it makes women grow chest hair. Oops. Meanwhile, with the Altmer, if you were trying to sell it to them, they would basically say, all right, what are the side effects? What side effects? Well, do you know the side effects? Do you know exactly what happens from this potion? Do you know exactly how it affects certain individuals of certain background?
I think anyone who's smart would do that.
Yeah, but this is Tess we're talking about. Let's look at the races of men there for a moment.
Excuse me, please don't be mean to my Bretons.
Oh, I will.
So if we can step back for a second,
Yeah, sure.
One of the kind of paradoxes I came to talking about the composition of souls and then the comparisons between mortal souls and Daedric souls. The vestige, the player character. I mean, if the vestige are missing anything, I would say it's the AE. They really have no self. That's why they are the player character, because you get to decide who they are, right? Mm-hmm. But then if that's the case, then that would imply that the Daedra have no AE. And yet when they reincorporate themselves in Oblivion, whatever plane they may be from, they reform from the Ezra-plasm, but they're still themselves. They still have that identity that the AE is.
I think I have an idea on how to fix this for you. Think about it for a moment from the perspective of we can never be a Daedra. We are never actually a Daedra. We never play them, etc., etc. The Aedra have an AE in the sense that because they're within the dream, some factor of Anu gives them an AE. It gives them a sense of self. The players, on the other hand, you could almost view them as calls to people Anu knew. So Anu is not the one influencing the players. It is the memories and recollections of individuals Anu was aware of.
Well, I mean, Icefire Warden has said at one point that the prisoner is really the dreamer trying to wake themselves up. And this was all discussed in Anuvanasi. And he and I have talked about it a little bit.
Okay. You could also view it as a concept of the prisoner and whatnot are Anu directly giving a sense of self to a character.
Yeah.
Whereas everything else is Anu thinking, all right, because they are Padomaic, Padome gives them self. or something similar to that.
Yeah.
Because they have a self.
Jesse just shared a Tesla link, and so I'm trying to look through it here. It says, "What happens to a Dremora when you soul trap it? Say I learn a spell to summon a specific Dremora, and I decide to trap it in a black soul gem. I mean, you wouldn't need a black soul gem, but anyway." One day, after spending the gem on a recharge, I cast my spell to bring that same Dremora back. Would I get the same guy, or would he not be able to come back for some reason? I've been told that people are separated into AE, memory, and soul. So what did I spend, and what am I conjuring? I think this is very relevant to.
Oh yeah. So yeah, like what happens to, or why are Daedra, like why can they still reform with their memory and everything intact?
Yeah. So
it could be that their self and their animus are inherently separate.
Well, my assumption up to this point has been that okay, you soul trap a Dremora. You have encompassed all of it, and I know we just kind of got away from this, but just bear with me here. We have tracked its entire soul. We have its AE, we have its memories, we have its animus. It's all there in the soul.
Okay.
But I think of that as like the pure cream from the cow.
Well,
Right? You want to use the milk. You got to separate the curd from the whey.
Love these textures.
Right? Or I guess we're making cheese or something, whatever.
Something.
We've got our requisite parts. And so the whey, or the curd, we're going to use the curd to make the cheese, right? So the animus is what we are using. The rest of it gets sent to the soul cairn or wherever it goes. So I guess, I mean, if hold on. I mean, if we ask him, and the only monkey wrench here is this book about vestiges, and saying that Daedra are vestiges inherently, because if they have an AE and a memory, that gets sent back to their home plane, while their animus is what's used to recharge or enchant a weapon or item, whatever. Then when you resummon that Dremora, yeah, it's the same guy. He just reclaimed some new animus, and that's what he's using to get around. What if animus is the vestige?
I mean, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's how it's described in the book. That the animus and the vestige are one and the same.
Because the AE is all entirely made up by whoever's playing.
So vestige is interchangeable with animus. That fixes the whole problem, because
wait, hold on, Andrew.
Ooh,
did you not notice that when I had said that earlier?
No, I wasn't really listening.
Spent a good 10 minutes talking about how Daedra don't have a soul.
Yeah,
they have what's called a vestige.
I was doing my mod thing.
Sounds about right. Well, there you go. Does that fix the problems you had?
That does, yeah.
I'm glad.
Because I mean, I can only read so fast, and I can pull it up and whatever, but conversation goes as fast as conversation goes. I can't use my eyes and ears at the same time, apparently. My wife hates it.
Yeah.
But I should read the rest of this thread just to see what other bits we can glean here. Because AE in Elnifex is an affirmative phrase.
Yeah.
It is. I am. Something like that. It is an affirmative, positive yes phrase.
Oh. Can I talk about how I believe that the Falmer and the Dwemer aren't actually descended from the Aldmer?
Oh boy.
Hmm.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. So I brought this up the other day, right before going over to Harvey Washbangers to get lunch. And I don't feel like I actually did very good justice with my post. I made a paragraph post in response to various things we were talking about. Here's kind of how it goes, though. As we know, the Aldmer are descended from the old Elnafe. We also know that the Aldmer had branched off into offshoots of other sub-races, that they had branched off into different ideologies, effectively. Now, the Falmer and the Dwemer are where it's kind of interesting. We don't actually know whether or not they were truly descended from the Aldmer, or if they might be something else entirely. I believe there's a potential that they were something else entirely, that they are Aldmer equivalents. That it's not a case of we are descended from the Aldmer, but rather the Aldmer are literally our cousins. This does require that you understand the concept of Altmora. That at one time, I believe prior to convention or at some other time during the Dawn of Merethic era, Atmora was called Altmora. It was once a land of old Elnafe. But wandering Elnafe had come there and conquered. They had pushed the original inhabitants out. And thus, as we know that wandering Elnafe eventually became races of men, yeah, those wandering Elnafe who pushed people out eventually became the Atmorans, having changed the name slightly, as men are tend to do. But those individuals who were forced out, I believe those old Elnafe could have landed in places like Skyrim and Resdane, wherein their philosophies would change based on the location they were now in. It could also go on to explain how exactly the Falmer do have the concept of Oriel, how they worship Oriel, despite the fact that they're so far away from Somerset and seemingly will have been so far away from the Aldmer. With the idea being that as old Elnafe, they were still aware of Oriel, viewing if we were to view Oriel as potentially an Ada or an Et Ada. Oh, it's a concept I've had running in my head for a while. That rather than being descended from the Aldmer, the Falmer and Dwemer were instead equivalents to the Aldmer.
I had a theory too. It's not super relevant. But I just remembered I had posted it a while back in the Sijic Order chat. But I looked at the layout of High Hrothgar in the Chantry.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very similar. Like they have the same two like staircases that kind of are like a U shape around like an altar area. And I had this because me and my friend were doing like some snow elf headcanons and stuff like that, and we started referencing a lot of like Tibetan culture with the snow elves, and we kind of came up with this like hypothetical idea of what if they had kind of like a similar like a spiritual pioneering or something, like what's the right word for that, where they would take a trip to the throw of the world and then basically that like
a pilgrimage.
A pilgrimage, yeah. Oh, I just forgot that word, but yeah, so like I was thinking that like it High Hrothgar might have originally been a snow elf shrine, that they would take a pilgrimage to the throw of the world, similar to the way that that many different like Hindus and Buddhists and stuff like that would take a pilgrimage to Mount Kailash in Tibet. So I was basically High Hrothgar might have been repurposed snow elf shrine or place of worship, or just like an old chantry. Yeah.
My understanding is the High Hrothgar is the, for lack of a better word, spaceship used by the Nords as they crossed into the next Kalpa.
So yeah, I've
This
heard
this
that
comes from
theory
the,
before, but I've also heard it explained that they crossed into the next Kalpa by becoming dragons, so technically they weren't even Nords anymore.
well, no. By the time they get to the next Kalpa, so they're basically playing leapfrog with each other, sort of. It's more like one plays leapfrog, tabs next guy, and that plays leapfrog. That's kind of so it's.
Hold on. Jesse, are
Yeah.
there? Yeah, I was wondering why you were so quiet, but I can hear like birds and planes outside your window.
It's very ambient. I love it.
Yeah, I've just been listening.
It's daytime. What is
Yeah.
that?
Oh, it's just outside noises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Andrew. Continue, please.
So let's see. This is how, because I talked with Evan Smith about this a bunch, and
Nords and dragons and whatnot.
yeah. So it comes from the Transkalpic world-eating Nords theory, and it was posted on some gaming website somewhere. I could find it if I looked for it.
That instills confidence, I'm sure.
Yeah, but it was really well sourced and really well argued.
Okay.
And so basically says that so the dragons show up, they're defeated or whatever, Alduin's defeated maybe, and then come the turn of the next Kalpa, the Nords. No, on. How did that go? It was so clear.
Wasn't it crystallysis? Like they underwent a process they underwent a process to skip to the next Kalpa, but doing that process changes them.
I'd have to reread the post. Like I had
Okay.
it at one point, and I have since discarded some of that information.
Mhm.
But let me find it so I can at least link it.
By the way, I have heard people say that the current Kalpa of test games, like the Kalpa, all the games are going on, is the last Kalpa, and that there's no Kalpas after it.
Here it is.
I'm not sure if I fully agree with that.
I think it's just if you subscribe to Coda.
Well, even if I subscribe to Coda, because it becomes this very weird concept of technically the Kalpas of Akavir and Jubal's Dream have already started before the Kalpa of us has even ended.
It's very ambiguous.
And there is, I feel like that could potentially
Golden egg.
also extend to. Ooh.
The
Yeah,
chicken
what?
just laid a golden egg. Now it just laid a regular egg. Okay. That was weird.
All right, then.
It laid a golden egg.
Yeah.
Laid a golden egg.
That's
Awesome.
so weird.
What I was saying is that I feel it could lend to itself to the concept that the Kalpas will always continue even when the new dream has begun.
Yeah.
So by extension, technically, the dream in what would have been Anu's life, Yokuda, could still be going on. The dreamer there is still going through their dream. But then we look at Anu. Yes, we could look at the end of Coda and see that Anu has finally come to accept herself. But I feel there's an interesting concept there that the next Kalpa could also still begin. And
Yep.
that really each Kalpa is becoming less and less violent. And by this point, the next Kalpa would be a set of events that just isn't as violent.
You know, Yokuda is kinda in ESO. Like you can see it. I can go
neat.
show it. Actually, I think it's like if I go to Strauss Mackay or Betnick. Yeah, probably Betnick.
You can kind of see it. Nerd is flat.
I found a thread on Elder Scrolls Online's forums
Let's try.
about Easter eggs. There's some good stuff in here.
Ooh, fun.
The clerk in Sedanin refers to future Marwyn. He says, but sometimes it takes great effort not to strangle one or more of these pointy-eared bastards. For example, no one ever remembers their birth sign. Some even try to change their answers.
Oh God, yeah.
As if I wouldn't notice.
God, yeah, that's great.
There's apparently a Star Wars reference in Cyrodiil. I don't know what that is.
I mean, there's Star Wars
Oh.
references in Skyrim. So
Yeah,
I can
no,
definitely see
Oblivion.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
there's tons of Star Wars references.
The Red Guards had lightsabers. Oh, not the Red Guards, the Yokudans.
There's Arthurian references in Skyrim, of which I love.
Yeah.
Lady in
Well,
the Lake by Whiterun.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lady in the Lake, daggers sitting in the Lady's Stone.
Yeah.
The sword in the stone.
Morrowind is some of the best Easter eggs, in my opinion.
The yellow.
Yeah.
There's the head of Scourge. There's a bit in Solstheim. You walk into a cave, and there's a skeleton dangling from the ceiling, reaching down for his sword, and that's a Star Wars reference.
Yeah. There was one literary reference in Skyrim that I really liked. It was I'm trying to remember what book it was. It was a book where one of the scenes describes a man gazing down into the abyss and seeing the demons below. And it's often referred to as demonic spiders or something equivalent. And in the quest of Deepest Fathoms, the Dwemer ruin that you go to has a scene like that, wherein you find a skeleton gazing down below at dwarven spiders.
I think it's this one. I have my fog turned on too, which also. Yeah, I think it's in Strauss Mackay.
Which is hilarious because Strauss Mackay is not as far.
Yeah, well, I was wondering, like, I can't remember. Maybe it was Betnik.
It was Becknick.
You can see, like, some kind of landmass, like, over here.
Mm.
Mm.
It's secretly Throst, the Slaughter, coming back. Behold the new Thracian plague. Die.
I don't feel like going all the way up that.
You can find a pretty blatant reference to Tarheel in Test 3 toward the EP side of Cyrodiil on the far north.
Hmm.
Let's see.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that is a fast doggo.
A doggo or Cato?
Oh, Kato, I guess. I'm sorry, your footage is very blurry.
Oh, it's because I have max speed with rapids.
Oh, boy.
I'm going real
No,
fast.
no, I mean, like, the footage itself of everything is actually quite blurry. It's like 240p or something.
Yeah, it's not too great.
So, I mean, I had a 50-50 shot of getting it right.
Let's try Betnik.
God damn it. I told John to come to this Lorecast, he still hasn't.
I like how this the loading screen art for Betnik is actually all hand painted. It's not like a
Cats apparently have 9 hit points.
Huh. Neat. I mean, Belle, go find a cat. Go find a cat and let's see if that's true.
Oh, my cat in real life or the cat in game?
A cat in game.
No,
I don't think you should be checking your
nice
real
No,
life
no,
animal.
because my cat my cat will destroy me.
Yeah. By the way, there's something very funny about the warrior fight in Hellroth Citadel. Because one of the lines the warrior says is that a first-rank Ansei's Sheihai destroyed Yokuda. The warrior is stronger than a first-rank Ansei. But then let's also consider the fact that you beat the warrior's ass. So by extension, you, the vestige, some random schmuck who doesn't even have an actual soul, is stronger than a first-rank Ansei.
No, the vestige and 11 of their friends.
And 11 of their friends. Yeah, but let's think about that for a moment. 12 random schmucks are stronger than a first-rank Ansei. And therefore 12 random schmucks can sink a continent.
Wow.
And that's why boasting of gods is hilarious.
Nope, it's not this one. Okay, maybe it is.
So, fun fact, the lore essay that Mac and I were working on that got released last night,
Yeah.
I published that on the Telmora. The transubstantiation of Anu, manifold the fray.
Yeah, I think I've gotten 3/4 of the way through that. I was very tired at the time that I started reading it.
Yeah, it's
It is rather interesting. I do actually really like it.
yeah, and like Mac and I have kind of been going back and forth and like, oh well, here's how this thing might fit, and and so he spent a lot of time looking into the tribunal and the anticipations and trying to make sense of how they might fit, and so there's a lot of that in that piece.
I really need to thank Mac properly because he helped to remind me earlier this week that no, I wasn't going crazy. I actually might be onto something with Altmer culture. Unfortunately, I don't remember if Mac actually has ESO on PC, so I don't think I can thank him properly.
No, Mac does not have ESO on PC because
he
like Michael,
he's a loser.
He's an Xbox boy.
Trying to get as close.
Michael, you hear that?
I mean, Michael's got ESO on PC, but he never plays it.
Yeah, like
I
a loser.
I was playing Skyrim on PC before this, so I just want to all you PC master race people, all I'm gonna say is that I play ESO on my computer and I walk into I don't know, any building in Vocal Guard, and all there is a block of wood and one pillar and half the ceiling, and everything else there's just sky. And that never happened.
That sounds like it might just be a problem with your computer.
No, it never happens on PS4. Never happens on PS4. So, and I get it. That's fine. I do have an older laptop. Oh my God, it's 4 years old. Oh boy. I mean, I'm playing a game that's 4 years old. You would think that. Well, anyway, let's not. It's just silliness. It's all silliness. I never have.
It's still never give you crap about it.
No, I know, and that's okay. Well, and you guys know that I've got the console master race memes, and I will definitely bombard you with them. But it's all good, guys.
See, Michael. Another thing is that because you rarely play on PC, that means there's no point in me sending you a gift.
I'd log in for it. I'd log in for it.
No, see, what I'm saying is I need to send 2 people.
Yeah.
2 gifts worth at most 500 crowns.
Yeah,
because I want that cute baby griffin. Yeah. I demand to have 2 griffins.
He really wants that pet. See, I don't like the griffin pet.
Belle, I'm well aware we're already friends.
I think, are we?
Yeah, we're already friends.
Add you?
Fine.
Yeah, Calabanana.
Since you begged, I will get on. Too.
Oh yeah, I did add you. Okay, I just haven't seen you log in. That's right.
Wait, do what, Andrew?
Belle, where are you?
Since you begged, I will log in too.
So I'm
there's Andrew. There's no.
That's cool because my keyboard changes.
And there's these 2 little islands right here. So as you can see, and there's the 2 islands right there, and then you can see behind it, like where my cursor's on, you can see kind of the outline of a bigger island.
Interesting.
Nice. Yeah. I am surprised the slaughterfish haven't killed you.
Oh, if I move an inch ahead, there they are. See?
Oh, I gotcha.
Now, Andrew, I will say there's no point in you doing that yet because I'm not gonna be able to get the crowns until Monday.
I tried swimming to Dagenfell one time.
I tried swimming to Sheikh Gorad.
I tried swimming in Cyrodiil once. It was a bad idea.
Yeah, it's Cyrodiil in general. Yeah, they upped the damage on the.
Are you in Alakir, Belle?
I'm in Stras Mackay.
Oh, Stras Mackay. Okay. Well, Hammerfell.
Same place. But I gotta finish my survey.
At least I got the Glow Gill Guar.
Yeah, it's actually really cool.
Yeah,
I like him.
It's kind of cool.
I mean, the white Guar is better.
Well, yeah. I'm not going to disagree with you on that one.
I just found an image. It was some woman had asked, why are guys so against wigs? And a man had responded saying, imagine if your man came home, he just hung up his muscles in the closet. And now that's a very disturbing image that I can't get out of my head. You just see this moderately fit man come into a house. He just takes his muscles off, and he is incredibly anorexic.
Ooh. Oh my gosh.
And these Reese's peanut butter cups, but with the Reese's pieces inside. Good stuff.
I have way too many snacks.
Oh, I am the snack master.
That reminds me, I'll be right back. I'm gonna get a drink.
If they do, if the next game is Hammerfell, I hope they include Craglorn.
Well, that'd be cool.
And I hope they include ESO lore.
I'm actually this is one of the. I mean, I'm excited for Test 6 no matter what. But one of the reasons why I'm excited for Test 6 is I'm sure that we're going to hear comments about ESO stuff, like the discovery of ancient history or whatever it is, and I can't wait to see how Bethesda deals with it, because there is a lot of crazy stuff that happens in ESO.
Yeah.
And
I also can't wait for people who are like staunch ESO haters to like realize that it's lore.
I don't know if you all saw that I'd put in. Yeah, it was in a dream sleeve. I put an old video that somebody had made about hating ESO, and it was Adolf Kirkbride responds to ESO or something like that. And it was that video of when Hitler like totally goes crazy in whatever movie that is.
Yeah.
But they made it that it was Kirkbride reacting to ESO lore. When actually he's been totally cool with it like the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to post the memes. Because I have some great memes from that time period. Yeah, at the very beginning when they first announced ESO, people were like, "This is the end of Elder Scrolls," and they completely overreacted.
Yeah. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit.
All right, Bill, I got this.
My word. Oh, there you are. I was like, oh, that's you. Yeah, my word got fucked up.
No, Balaam.
Or I'll just yeah, having fun with that guy over there. I'll just give her.
I just used my potion a minute ago, so like.
Yeah, that's the problem I had too. This isn't my most optimized character.
Howie.
Wouldn't be the best. Get that synergy. No, it went away. Ooh.
Woo!
Still doing a blocking animation. Cool.
Oh, since you're not gonna take it, I'm gonna help myself, Lady Smock here.
Oh, that was Lady Smock. Oh wait, no, I need the. No, it is a Lady Smock that I need. I'm always the lowest on that one. It's fine. You can have it.
Oh, man.
All right, so
always got my. Oh man. I lost like a whole number pad when I got this new keyboard, and now I don't have a way to toggle walk.
do you not use / for walk?
I had it set to number pad 0.
Or no, not / backslash. That's what I use. Right above the enter key. All right, so guys, I had randomly come across a thing while looking into Altmer culture, a post someone had made about the concept of Altmer eugenics and how it's not what you think it is. Do you guys want to hear it?
Yes. Let's see. Toggle. Let's see.
So, if any of you remember Ondolamar from Skyrim,
Oh yeah.
you'll remember his comment that he is a superiorly bred mer. Now, of course, at the same time, Ondolamar looks just like any other Altmer. So how exactly is he superiorly bred? Well, it's because Altmer eugenics isn't about physical parts. The way the guy tried to explain it is that they don't care about your physical attributes. They don't care about your looks, because caring about physical things is a very mortal and mannish thing to do. Rather, they care about your soul. They care about your spiritual purity. So it becomes this really weird concept of spiritual eugenics, wherein what matters most is your spiritual purity and your spiritual willpower and dedication, rather than any sort of physical aspect about yourself. And it's really weird to think about. But at the same time, then it makes total sense as to how Ondolamar can look like any other Altmer, but say that he's a superiorly bred Altmer, because he may just be coming from a family that is much more devout. Hey, Mac.
Hey.
Oh, Max here.
Next.
Yay.
Yay, Mac. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, Mac, you missed it. I talked about earlier how Malakath helped me realize stuff about Altmer culture.
Malakath?
Yeah. To summarize what I had said earlier, as you know, Malakath was Trinimac. Trinimac was an Aldmeri god. Gods tend to reflect the culture they are worshipped by, etc., etc. The Altmer are very poetic with the things they say, using very poetic terms to define very mundane things. So Malakath's famous quote of saying, "That's far too literal-minded for me, for my taste," could be, I viewed it as almost a remnant of when he was Trinimac, when he was an Aldmeri god and he recognized the poetic nature of how words can be. As a result, you get to this notion of whenever he says, "Oh, that story is far too literal-minded," it's effectively him saying, "Look, you're taking that story way too seriously. You're just taking it purely at face value. You're not looking at the poetic aspects of the story."
Oh, we haven't done this Dolmen yet.
What do you think about him being the only one who adds the idea of Mephala stabbing him in the back?
I've never heard that idea.
In every other account, it's only Boethia who defeats Trinimac. In Malakath's recounting, it's Boethia and Trinimac fighting, and then Mephala stabs Trinimac in the back.
I mean, that's well within Mephala's AO, or MO.
It is.
I mean, I can see it happening. When you get right down to it, if Mephala were to have stabbed him in the back, who would have actually known about it other than Trinimac and Boethia?
Wonder how long this Dolmen's gonna take to.
I'm not sure. Do we have any indication that, I mean, the battle took place in front of the Velothi Kimmer, correct?
Maybe. I think a better way to explain it is that the battle, quote unquote, took place. It could be very well that they felt that the battle was going on, that the gods were quite literally fighting right in front of them, but because of the nature of gods, they might not have actually seen the battle as it happened.
Right.
Hence why, the battle happens right in front of them, Boethia beats Trinimac and then proceeds to eat Trinimac and use his voice to tell the Velothi, "Oh no, you guys go ahead and follow Boethia." And the Velothi are just totally fine with that. Because when you get right down to it, they can't actually see what's happening. Then, as far as they're aware, it is 100% just Trinimac saying that. It's not Boethia lying.
Well, I mean, it's interesting that Azura is not in this interchange at all.
Yeah. No, I think it might be a case of Azura would stay away from the battle, but she would intervene the end.
I think. I
Post
mean,
battle.
if anything, I would think Boethia would. I mean, not Boethia. Sorry, there's Azura would be the Watcher.
Yeah, probably. She probably is watching the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so does that mean that both Boethia and Mephala were the rebel in an enantiomorph?
Maybe.
Or can we stretch the enantiomorph to have 4 points?
Maybe.
Because an enantiomorph doesn't always have 3.
This is true.
This is something that we've looked at.
Oh god, if it's 4, then that makes it very bad because it's the sum of 2 twice.
Yeah, I mean,
And 2 is a very bad number.
although it is the forming of one of the corners of the House of Troubles, so
Yeah.
4
Which isn't good though.
terribly far.
Yeah. And Andrew, thank you for proving my point further.
I mean,
Honestly, I think it might have just been the way you worded that. Because I think you initially worded that in such a way as to be contradictory to what we said, but then proceeded to just agree.
Have you ever noticed how white caps basically look like tits?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, like white caps. They're like kind of flesh colored with a little darker colored circle in the middle.
Oh, those, yeah, I know.
Yeah, they look like tits.
Are you saying white caps or white cats?
White caps, a mushroom.
Oh, when he said white, I was like, all right, I don't think he's.
Yeah,
talking-
I thought I said white cats at first too.
Yes, they
Well, when
actually
he said-
look like a small bird.
Well, when he said white caps, I was like, you mean like waves, like the tops of waves?
Yeah, I mean the mushroom.
That's what I thought he meant too.
Mushy, roomy mushroom.
Oh, good God.
Get my rapids on that bar so I can.
Oh, never
Uh,
mean cornflower.
Michael.
Yo,
You had mentioned you very briefly touched on this in your video on the Khajiit Lorecast, the selectives one.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you were surprised that in Anisi it's nocturnal. It's Namira, not nocturnal.
Mhm.
Given nocturnal is stealthy, she's associated with thieves, all that other stuff. Do you have? I'm really boggled by this. Like, why did the writers?
You've been asking about this for days.
I really am messed. Like, it just weirds to me. Like, why did the writers pick
you're
Namira?
gonna go to bed.
not Nocturnal?
You know what the potential could be? The writer of the first piece accidentally wrote Namir instead of Nocturnal.
So this is actually something I've been thinking about.
I saw that.
Honestly, probably since Skyrim, because when you really dig down into, a lot of people don't like the Thieves Guild quest line in Skyrim.
Oh, I thought you were talking about ESO, and I'm like, oh, there they are.
The lore of Nocturnal and that quest line is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember all the terminology. I haven't played it in years, unfortunately. But they talk about the Evergloam and that luck, or whatever term they use for it,
No, it's
leaches
luck.
out.
Mhm.
Huh?
It is luck. You're right.
Yeah, it's luck.
Luck leaches out from Nocturnal's realm to help thieves.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me wonder if for Khajiit, Nocturnal isn't so much the preternatural darkness as just luck.
I would have
Yeah.
luck would be more associated with Rajin or Ben.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Which is something I'd
Wait,
like
hold
to
on.
point out.
Isn't Bandar the pariah?
I'm not. I was just. I'm not real familiar with them. I'm just saying off the top of my head,
Yeah.
Khajiit and Luck. I would have thought one of those two before.
Yeah,
now.
Rajin.
The
You're
reason
probably
I
right
would
about
say-
Rajin.
The reason I wouldn't think it'd be Rajin, the footpad, is because Rajin needs the luck. He himself is not in control of it.
But
Like, he
it's-
requires the luck in order to do what he does, but he himself does not control the luck. And then
Good
there's
point.
Bandar, who's the pariah.
There's also a Breton luck deity.
Sai.
Yeah, Sai.
Is it Sai?
Are
Yeah.
you talking about in the King Edward books?
I think so.
Yeah, Sai, and then he's the Breton god of luck, and then if you pray to Sai too much, you'll get Sai's affliction, where you start just getting bad luck, and then you'll fall into gambling constantly to prove that your luck is returned.
I was gonna say it's basically gambling addiction.
Yeah, it is 100% gambling addiction.
But the other thing is, it could be
I'm
that,
sorry.
that Nocturnal is simply she's every, how do I put this?
Woohoo.
She's like the background hum that you don't even think about because it surrounds and penetrates everything. She's the force.
She's just, so you're saying she's just the white noise?
I also picked up a,
Except in this case, it's
because she's an aspect of darkness.
Yeah.
There's a text, Michael, that uses the description of Sithis. Ever-present hum, I think, is the term.
No, that's Anu, I think.
Let me see if I can find it.
Or it might be Padome.
I think that's Anu, is the ever-present hum.
Or it might be Padome. It's one of the two. I think you're right that it's Anu, though.
I'm pretty sure it was Sithis that's so present that he's not there at all. Or I don't know. I'll look up.
How do we reconcile Nocturnal as luck with the lucky lady in Breville who is connected to the Dark Brotherhood?
Who is in turn connected to Sithis, which Nocturnal at least claims to be.
Yeah, this is that thing I was talking about the other day about the idea of Daedric and Aedric trinities, that sometimes they overlap to the point that like there's something weird going on. You know, like the classic one that we've used in these discussions before is Nocturnal or Namira, whichever you prefer. I'll use Nocturnal as the preternatural darkness, Azura as the transition, Namira as the pain within the transition, Azura as transition, Meridia as the dawning of a new day. And it's these kind of
as the fear, right?
Oh, that's right. And Vermina as the nightmare. Namira as the pain, Vermina as the nightmare. And how there's this bizarre overlap, and I don't know what to make of it. I mean, it could be that I'm just drawing too many lines and I'm being too open in my perceptions.
I think it's very appropriate. I mean, because some of the earliest and most basic things they teach you about Daedra is they are the lords of change, as opposed to the Aedra, which are more static.
You know, and then like Azura as transition, but Mehrunes Dagon as revolution, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And there's they all bleed in. All right, maybe we should put it this way: the edges of each bleed into the others. I'm not a visually artistic enough person to draw that, but somebody needs to draw that.
Andrew has tried before.
Can we get any more Sorks?
What did I try?
I'm a Sork.
You remember you drew the
I'm not level 50 yet, though, because
Daedric spheres.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I'm not level 50 yet, though.
I basically did that with Photoshop.
We'll
It was
power level you.
impossible.
Good, because bots ruined my day.
Yeah, let's run them through
Spellscar.
Skyhold or whatever. We're not
Skyreach?
Skyreach, that's right. Skyhold.
Oh, Charlie, are you M Fear?
What? No, I haven't logged
No,
in
that's
yet.
no, that's one of my friends.
Yeah, no, I haven't logged in yet. I am just now booting up ESO.
We were just in a group, and I was like,
Bots ruined my day. So you can imagine the kind of stress I'm under.
Welcome to ESO the stream.
Yeah, pretty much.
I found the home quote, guys.
This is a
We're
stream
not-
where ESO stands.
None of us were really right though.
Oh, damn it.
It's not Anu or Sithis. It is Satan.
Oh, was this Redguard lore?
PSJJJ.
Of course it
We
was.
got Melbourne, Reaper's March, Rivenspire, Stonefall, Stormhaven, wow. All right.
This is the quote from the bottom.
You said we were talking about Sige? or however we pronounce that. Say the Satak. Yeah. So PSJJJ. That is the hum. It's the same as in Buddhist.
Yeah.
It's
The
it's
Om.
yeah.
The Om.
The
I'm sorry, I was away from my headphones for a minute. Did you guys find a quote?
It's in the chat there, yeah. In
Yeah.
Yakutan folk tales, which are among the most vivid in the world, Satak is only referred to a handful of times as the hum. He is a force
That's it.
prevalent as to be not really there at all. And Satak, at least according to UASP, is a fusion of the concepts of both Anu and Padme.
Okay.
I don't know if that's true or not, but maybe I don't know. But that's where I was getting it from.
Yeah, I'm not Yakuten lore and Redguard lore is not my area of expertise. I'm sorry to say.
That's
same to
perfectly
me.
fine. I think there are very few people where it's their area of expertise.
oh, where's Felix when you need him?
Felix, you're right.
Yeah.
Felix.
Felix
We need you,
is our
Felix.
Goku guy.
But yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate hearing your thoughts on that. I've just been turning it over in my head constantly.
Yeah, I think of her as like she's the shadow that cloaks you. That the Khajiit would see her as the shadow that cloaks them when they go and do whatever it is they're doing.
Gotcha.
But I don't know. I'm actually
Are you
really
familiar
hoping.
with the Silmarillion?
Am I
Silmarillion.
So
I taught
Here
a
we go.
class on Tolkien, bro. I taught a class.
okay, then. So you're familiar with Ungoliant.
Of course I am.
Do you remember the term associated with her? She weaves webs of unlight.
Where do you think I got that phrase from? whenever you're reading now, all the truth comes out at last.
But what
Whenever
I'm
you're
saying is,
go ahead.
no. I think there's a distinction between the shadow,
Awesome.
as in Tolkien's mythos, and unlight.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's not quote unquote much of a difference. They're both exceptionally dark. They're both exceptionally terrifying. But I think the subtle difference is what is the difference between Namira and Nocturnal. The darkness they both embody. One is unlight and the other is shadow.
That's an interesting idea.
I think, because in Tolkien's Legendarium, the shadow is light betrayed, but the unlight comes from light eaten and vomited back out, corrupted.
It's been too long since I read the Silmarillion. I gotta go back. I'm rereading Lord of the Rings now.
Okay.
I gotta go back and I gotta reread that section.
It's one of the few times that the word unlight is used, and unlight is capitalized. And she vomits this out after she drinks from the well and drains the two trees. And then jewels.
Oh, that's so good.
But that's light eaten and then corrupted and vomited back out. Whereas Morgoth is more light betrayed, and the same goes with Sauron and his stuff. I think that it's not a huge difference because they both kind of plague the world, but they do it in different ways. And I think Namira's is a little more Ungoliant Shelobi than and Nocturnal's is more Sauron and Morgothy.
Maybe.
That's how I've conceptualized it.
I like it. I would need to think about it a lot more, but I like it. I think you're onto something good there.
The final message thing that I wrote was heavy Silmarillion influence. Love the birds.
That's funny because we're in Bellenwood. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ambience.
It's remarkably fitting.
And it's raining.
So tonight, this is a complete sidebar, but tonight for the first time in Skyrim, I shot a deer with fury, and it attacked me. It was fantastic. Wow, this is so much easier. I'm going to do this all the time when I go hunting now.
You shot.
Oh,
him?
that's right, because you're playing an agent class.
That's right. Good fun. I do love. So my two stealth types of characters is that I use illusion to make my enemies kill each other, or I kill them and then raise them and make them kill their friends. And that's when I'm playing vampire characters, and that's extremely satisfying.
There it is, right behind me.
Hang on a second.
Did Dylan ever post his bit on Azura and Clavicus spouses?
I don't know. I think he posted it in the UESP Discord, but
Okay.
past
Okay,
that,
I'm
I don't
sorry
think-
about that.
Grab this other lore book.
I know he has this headcanon idea that they have a love-hate relationship with each other, as any two being gods would.
Which it makes the trial of Vivek make a little more sense.
I've not read that in so
I think that
long.
was
What
Andy.
does is Clavicus Vile in there?
There's a particular part where Vivek professes love for Clavicus Vile.
And
Let me see if I can find it here.
We may want to get to Skyrim soon. I only have 38 minutes left on this experience boost.
Oh, you want to run up this carry?
professes love for Clavicus Vile.
Yeah,
We'll get
why
less
not?
if we do it, but I mean, we'll clear it. Yeah. Do you have the did you get the mug that you get from
Yeah, I have
YouTube?
the mug and I have an actual experience scroll running.
Yeah, he said, "Never again show yourself in this fair form to the
Yeah.
mortal fools who have been your slaves, and let what is offered to you be carried, steaming and redolent of spices, to my lord's table. My lord, my lover, who would never have forsaken me, Clavicus Vile."
What does she say?
Awesome.
She says, "God, no, 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 please, no, what? No, devil, please, no, I cannot."
Oh,
Because
Yeah.
all right then.
Zura's Come is a very interesting piece of
Mhm.
literature.
I actually like this dialogue.
Oh, there it is.
I like how she talks in like broken words.
Or the transcriber is unable to comprehend what she's saying.
Oh, maybe,
And it's just this is the gist of it.
perhaps.
It's interesting
now, how
that
does-
that Kirkbride picked Clavicus Vile, though, of all the princes.
Well, what's funny is when we get to ESO in Morrowind, who is it that's getting
Vex power.
that is sapping his power? Well, it's Barbas.
You know, who is a piece of Clavicus Vile.
Hmm?
But that's not a very harmonious relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if maybe there is a love triangle between Vivek, Azura, and Clavicus Vile. And Clavicus Vile bargaining his way through it.
I actually love that idea. It's so good.
What would those terms be, though? I mean, Vivek and Azura despise each other. I guess it could be a love-hate relationship.
Yeah, it's a romantic rivalry. I mean, in addition to the stuff that
Oh,
Oh, man.
So who's at the center
Clavicus
of
Vile
it? Vivek?
bargains his way into battle.
So would Vivek be at the center of it?
no, that would be, I mean, Clavicus Vile's at the center, because if Azura and Clavicus Vile are an item, and according to the trials of Vivek, Vivek and Clavicus Vile are an item. And
So this whole thing is Vivek doing away with the rivalry.
yeah,
Does it appear?
Does Clavicus Vile appear in Coda, even in mention?
That's a different one.
I
I hate
do not
navigating.
believe so. Hold on, you got this flame axe knocking on you. Oh,
That was
I made it. I hit it so hard it forgot what it was doing.
okay.
Sounds about right. It sounds like ESO.
I think you go around up here and then
No, I think we should all think about this
okay, hold on.
for a
I think
hot
you go around
second.
the other side. So I'm like, I always forget how to navigate Cragboard.
I think we should all think about this for a hot second. If Vivek is Anu's self-insert, are all the relationships Vivek has Anu writing steamy fan fiction?
Okay.
I thought that the minute.
I mean, Vivek does walk the line between truth and lies.
What you're saying is Anu is making smut. Got it.
Yeah.
Like that theory that I read that Mac and Andrew wrote, the minute I read it, I thought, oh, so this is like a Vivek wet dream.
Parts of it, maybe.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I'd never really thought about that though.
Am I frozen in place? Do you guys?
I can't.
I don't know. I don't know terribly that. I don't know all that much about Vivek's sexual exploits because I have read pieces of the sermons.
Right.
And I know about Molik Ball at the pomegranate banquet. Correct? That's what it's called.
Yeah. Inclination.
And that weird bit on, I think it was Sermon 33, where Vivek
Oh God.
Vivek bans anal sex. There we go.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rapids. Thanks. Oh yeah.
Do you guys? Interesting thing I learned when I was looking up Sapiarchs. That is a 3.3 million health individual.
Yeah, she hits like a truck too, and my ward was taken off of my skill bar thanks to my Rapids add-on. So this is fun. Oh god, let me get out of the way.
Oh, there's another boss here with us too. Oh, okay, it's part of the boss.
Why do you hit so hard?
Maybe it's because it's a boss with 3.3 million health.
She just
Group
hits
area.
Jesus Christ, why? Too bad I can't switch my skills when I'm dead. Craglorn bosses are a little bit more difficult than regular.
You know what to say?
Yeah, it took me a while to get her down a while back. Am I in combat? Can I switch? Can I switch that? No? Okay, never mind. It's cool. It's whatever. Just work on this guy.
Oh, but as I was researching, as I was looking into Sapiarchs and whatnot, I discovered that there's a Sapiarch of zoology, or zoological studies, and they're trying to bring the Welwas back to Somerset. Because apparently Welwas were actually native to Somerset.
Yeah.
Or at least
There's actually, isn't there, there's like a whole quest about that in
Let's focus the arc.
Somerset.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
In theory, at least, isn't there a Sapiarch on every area of study?
Pretty much, yeah.
Ah, damn.
That reminds me of the philosophy of Count Dooku in Star Wars. He spent all his time studying a single lightsaber technique because his idea was it's better to be a master of one than to not truly be a master of several.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. That's kind of how I picture the Sapiarchs.
So he misinterpreted Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, because the end of that is, but better to be that than a master of one.
Yeah, the thing with Dooku, though, is that he became enormously dangerous.
Yeah.
Like, he was...
Yoda,
his-
Mace Windu, and Darth Sidious could take him. That's about it in lightsaber
Yeah.
duel.
Oh,
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh well.
Alrighty.
And the only reason
Hey,
that
I found a robe of
Anakin-
martial knowledge.
Yeah, because he'd been ordered to hold back.
Shit,
Yeah.
my bad, Seth.
If anyone wants it,
Dooku is by far my favorite of the Sith Lords.
I don't know. I go back all the way to Naga Sadow.
Christopher Lee is
That's my bro.
I
Legend.
love Christopher Lee.
Well, yeah, I mean, come on.
But I love the idea of the Sith triumvirate. It's Scion, Nihilus, and Treya.
Oh yeah, Freya, yeah.
Treya, yeah. I would love to see that.
Okay, bye.
I'd love to see that as a Star Wars movie someday, or a TV show or something.
Yeah, the Knights
Where
of the
are we
Old-
even going? Because
You
we are
should heal
quite
the
far
Knights.
away from where we should be.
I
The
thought I
Knights
was
of
right
the
next to it. I always forget where the entrance is.
The Knights of the Old Republic games were fantastic.
Dragon
really?
has very bad map setup.
Star Wars has one of the best storylines I've ever read, but it's just been executed so poorly by so many people.
Okay, so I think
Is it this thing here?
it's on the
This.
top part. I mean, you can fight this if you want.
Skyreach Overlook is where we need
Michael,
to
I saw your mini Khajiit roommates.
Oh
You can
yeah,
fight this.
You remember
So
that?
yeah.
be.
it's a good time.
I like your comment on one of them. It's
Whenever
all
the-
the way on Moon's business.
Yes.
When the gargoyles come up, focus them first.
Do what?
When the gargoyles come up, focus them first.
Okay.
Because they do big damn. Cool. So what's
I don't know if you've read it or not, but Andrew's got that running bit of headcanon piece in the Dream Sleeve. One of mine is that the Khajiit vampires will force their victims to consume inordinate amounts so that they can. What? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm here.
Just really loud noise.
Try to get
Oh
body
no,
across.
I'm moving over to a different chair. But yeah, they make them imbibe an enormous amount of moon sugar.
Yeah. Uh huh.
I have
like
a
that theory.
vampire.
It's a good theory.
Where's the
There they are.
gargoyle? Thank you.
Which I was pleased in ESO we actually get to see and talk to Khajiit vampires, which we've had no beast race vampires in any Elder Scrolls games. Before-
Arkmire has a good idea of it too.
Of what?
Where's the
Vampires, Argonians.
Oh yeah, yeah. ESO was just the first one to have beast race vampires included.
where's
the
the
lore behind it,
where's the
basically.
Khajiit vampire in ESO?
There's one in it's
I know in Rivenspire, there's
Yeah, it's in
a
High
Khajiit
Rock.
vampire.
Oh,
she's
I
the
haven't
second
got-
in command of I forget the name of the noble house.
Okay,
Oh, Clan Ravenwatch. I love that storyline.
haven't done that one yet.
I did Art of Verandis.
That's actually Rivenspire is my next zone.
Oh, it's really good. It's actually probably one of my favorite base game zones.
Nice.
I'm not a
Yeah.
fan of High Rock.
I like Bankorai.
I didn't like any of the Daggerfall Covenant areas. I've just not been impressed with. Rothgar's interesting.
I love Rothgar.
Rothgar is amazing.
Glenumbra was okay. I like Stros Mackay. I like Betnik.
It's so normal.
Oh no, not that argument again.
I've never made that argument.
No, it's not you. There's
That's
a consistent argument that Breton lore is boring lore because it's basic, and I reject that completely.
Bunch of
So-
so you're saying
Not
it's a bunch of basic bitch style.
Most of my writing is based around Bretons.
Actually, I would love to see more of Breton lore with Sheor.
Mm,
Okay, it's up here, I think.
my argument is that Breton
Charge my
lore
wood.
is based on the deeper, crazier Arthurian mythos, and people think that they understand the Arthurian mythos.
And they don't.
Because
But nobody understands the Arthur.
it's ridiculously
Because let's be honest here. How many normal people actually know about the concept of the questing beast?
I love
Right.
the questing beast.
A really cool idea that
I'm gonna go this
no
way,
one
try.
talks about. And
I love
basically, no one
And
talks
like the
about
reason he's so knowledgeable is because he's traveling backward in time and all that.
Yeah.
He's a static point in history. Yeah, it's just so great.
Questing
there's a lot of
interesting design too.
Yeah, isn't it like a horse with
Snake head.
swan neck or something?
Swan neck, snake head, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the idea of it. It's fun to picture.
Oh wait, hold on.
It was Michael. My complaint was more with architecture, like just
oh,
one of my lessons.
Oh, you mean just like visually, it's very boring.
I don't know that I'd call it boring. It's very beautiful to look at. Just
right here.
But it's very normal compared.
I
to
can't
a lot of other
find
things.
Vardenfell on planet Earth. I could probably find High Rock in certain places. You know.
I get that.
Makes it cool though. It's like
Oh, hey, look, a way shrine called the Skyreach Way Shrine. I wonder if we're near Skyreach.
listen. Listen.
Which Morrowind has entirely won me over with its.
There's a
Oh, yeah.
wave shrine closer to it, which I might have assumed might have gotten me there quicker.
However furious I am that they do not have a Mehrunes Dagon shrine.
Hmm.
Listen, Mayor and Zagon's gonna change that soon enough.
I want the big.
I'm also irritated that they don't have a Mephala and Boethia shrine because they have an Azura one. A couple of them actually.
It's the Hermaeus Mora one, but it's really big and it's here in Craglorn, and I love it. And I want it in my house. I want the full size of it in my house.
Do I have a skill point? Yeah, I do.
Is it actually good looking? Because most of the ones for Hermaeus Mora have been shitty in previous Elder Scrolls games.
It's actually pretty good.
Did you say it's in Rivenspire?
It's in Craglorn.
Craglorn. Okay. I want to look that up.
By the way,
It's a Seeker's Archive.
as I'm going through the main quest, I'm also redoing the Mages Guild quest line. And in the Circus of Cheerful Slaughter, you go into a building where Shalador is talking about, we need a place for the mages to hide out. And in that building, there are 2 statues of Ermina.
The snake one?
Wait, Phil, where did you go?
Skyreach.
And I was like,
Where?
what is going on
You just
here?
disappeared.
Yeah, I went to the.
Well, I think they've gotten sloppy with some of their stuff because have you played the South Point Sheogorath quest?
Probably.
Yeah, I've played that one.
There's a lot. Of
When you go into that chapel, there are several Clavicus Vile Daedric banners
Oh,
mixed in with the ones to Sheogorath, which is just sloppy.
I gotcha. Yeah, you might be right.
And the Cyrodiil one, the Cyrodiil shrines in Oblivion, 2 of them are, well, actually only one is correct in that the central one changes. The central stained glass is Stendar, and the stained glass high in the tower has Stendar's flowing cup in the center of it. The only other time that it's not Stendar in the center is the chapel of Akatosh, and we can't tell about the window for that one because it's broken by the Daedra.
Right.
In every other chapel, not only is Stendar in the central stained glass, the windows have his image in the center of the 9 circle. So I was kind of disillusioned to see that as well.
Yeah, it should be Akatosh.
It definitely should be, or at least it should be like Mara's should have Mara's at the center, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which I think that's what they were going for, because Akatosh and Stendar both are at the center of their respective ones.
Right.
And I'd have been fine if it had been Talos or Akatosh at the center of all of them. But I never get what I want, so.
yeah, you're not allowed to.
I don't. I can't beat Dromothra on my own in Maw of Lorcaj. I don't get my Elsewhere chapter or Beyond Skyrim Elsewhere when I want it.
I'm working on it, bro. I'm working on it.
I know you are. I'm sure that's all you do. I'm so looking forward to it.
Man, I was in love with the Bruma.
Oh, it was like a wave of nostalgia when they hit me. They even had an Oblivion
Like the
game.
writing is really good. Like it reminds me of like ESO caliber like characters and writing.
awesome.
Their Namira shrine in Beyond Skyrim Bruma is fantastic.
Yeah.
I felt it was a little overdone.
Really?
Just a touch. Oh, hey, there's a boss in here.
I think that's because you don't like Namira as much as I do.
Wait, should we fight the boss?
I like the concept of the Thalmor in Bruma.
Oh, with the Chapel of St. Martin?
Mm.
I like how Bruma kind of humanized the Thalmor.
Yeah.
But
The guy that you talk to, and he actually like tells you like, this is just my job, buddy. Like,
He's very different than Undolamar, who said, like, look, I would really love for you to help me kill this guy. I mean, implicate him.
that's a bitch.
Dylan and I are really hoping that they expand on Azura and Namira in the Elsewhere DLC.
That would be lovely.
I just figure they have to. I mean, one's the mother of the Dromothra and the other's the mother of the Khajiit. I mean, what princes could possibly be more important in Elsewhere than those two?
I mean, it could even be a part of the main quest line for that DLC.
I would love it to be.
Yeah. Because, I mean, those two figures are so significant.
Oh my gosh, guys, I don't know why I didn't just now think of this, but I, like, flipped my shit when I went to Aldrune. That giant mud crab building thing.
yeah, Scar.
Scar, yes, that was his name. Yes. I couldn't believe it.
You need to go in him.
Yeah, I was in him for his Neravarine, as they all insist on pronouncing.
Yeah, that sucks.
They all insist on pronouncing it that way.
It's funny.
It's universal.
So the funniest part is that they all say Neravarine, but then when the woman is talking about Indra Nerevar, she says Nerevar.
Yeah.
It made me have blood pressure problems.
So I just had a D&D session yesterday, and my game takes place during the events of Test 3. And our party's Nerevarine got to the Cavern of the Incarnate, and we talked to Chodla.
Oh, really?
And so he mentioned how he didn't listen to the Council of the Wise Women, and I was like, oh, I know you didn't.
No.
You're gonna steal God energy, you dick.
Yeah, he made a deal with Malakath, or tried to, and Malakath said, nah, you already made a deal with Clavicus Vile.
You made a deal with Clavicus Vile, you just didn't know you made a deal with Clavicus Vile.
I do love in that we see Barbas's, like, literally, I mean, I'd kind of been thinking Barbas was sort of just a check on Clavicus Vile, which I think that's part of it. But deep down, he really just wants to serve Clavicus Vile. Like,
Dog.
I know, but I was just like, he was so excited at the end. He's like, look what Barbas found for you, Master. And then he started saying, Master, how could you pick partners other than me when you have such a loyal servant in me? I'm like, oh, Clavicus.
We gave our own dog.
That makes me wonder if the split between Clavicus and Barbas happened more recently. And so Barbas is more true to the intent that Clavicus Vile had when creating him.
So perhaps in Skyrim, they've gotten a bit more estranged and tired of this arrangement?
Yeah.
Do you foresee a reabsorption of Barbas on a permanent level? Because that would make for.
I don't think so. I think we'll always have Barbas because it's a psychological need of Clavicus Vile. He needs to be in control, but because he's in control, he's also the one who gets controlled.
Same with
He
school
split
kind.
himself up this way. And
He can't change who he is. None of the Daedra can.
So that is
Daedra,
how,
for that matter.
Yeah, that's how Clavicus Vile showcases his duality.
Ooh,
And you
spice.
prefer the more childish.
I was trying to heal you.
It's fine. I've taken more damage than I should. I'm going to put my stam food on. I'm going to stam my health food on. can sacrifice a little bit of damage for some survivability.
I do like the idea of a Shere Khan and Tabiki appearance for Clavicus Vile and Barbas in Elsewhere.
Is this gonna hurt me too much?
It's the only popular feline canine partnership, with the cat being the superior, that I've heard of, that I know of in popular culture.
Ooh.
I gotta.
Hey, look! I finally found a lightning staff to replace the one I'm currently using.
Switch my food.
There we go.
The bank if you need it.
Oh, and I saw a lizard bear for the first time in Merkmeyer today.
Oh,
Nice.
what did you think?
I was, on one hand, I was just surprised to see it. Because I was just walking and there it is, and I was like, this is a little lazy. And then I got distracted when the quest said, "I want you to go kill this Argonian behemoth," which just slaughtered me several times because of. Since I've never played online games before, guys, you don't understand. I've never
Yeah.
experienced lag.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes
Oh
sense.
yeah.
And it screwed me over because you're supposed to jump up on the pedestals with it, and I can't because it would wait 6 seconds before doing it, and that's too long.
True.
And luckily, some other higher level player came in and did it for me as I respawned myself. ESO has just quickly become one of my favorite of the Elder Scrolls installments.
Yeah,
It's really pretty great, and
it is really good. I used to shit talk
whereas
it.
other games, I mean, you finish it and you can do everything. Like, there's always more stuff to do.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I've come pretty much as close as I think I'm ever going to get to full completion.
ESO.
And I mean, there are tons of achievements that I don't even have yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, being a style master. I'm missing a ton of full styles.
Yeah, me
Have you done? Do you have the Dromothra skin?
I do not.
I was just astounded when Michael told me he hadn't done that.
If Khajiit were an evil character, then I
I
would.
have an evil Khajiit that I'm considering.
But
it's the veteran trial,
Right,
and it
right.
requires 12 people.
Khajiit is a healer and a pacifist, and he's just a great guy all around.
I'm really hoping that the Elsewhere DLC doesn't mess with my theory, but if it does, I feel flexible enough that I can move around it. But I really like my idea that Dromothra are really just trying to basically proselytize the idea that no, Lorcaj isn't bad in any sense of the word, and neither is mortality and all that sort of stuff.
I've actually been thinking about that. The whole Mac, we had talked to the other day about the concept that
Oh, I can't block
that through Altmer philosophy, nothing in the universe is actually dichotomous. It's all tripartite.
Mhm.
And I realized that the Khajiit actually have that kind of view when it comes to Lorcaj. Like, they fit the third view.
With
When you think about in terms
Like
of
with-
how to consider Lorcaj.
oh yeah, no, definitely he is
Because the
they
elves,
admire
of course,
and don't love his trickiness.
Yeah. With the elves, you have the case of Lorcan was an asshole who tricked all of us. With the Mortals, you have Lorcan was a savior. He saved all of us and protected us and whatnot. He gave us
Michael
life.
put it. Michael has put
Then
it well.
you have the
Lorcaj
Khajiit
is
who just
forgiven
say-
on pilgrimage.
They have the Khajiit who kind of just say, yeah, no, you have Lorcaj, and Lorcaj was just a necessity. We don't specifically hate him, but we don't love him either.
I'm convinced that but they don't hate him. No one hates him as much as the Altmer do, of course. But
Right.
the Khajiit, they also reference him when negative things happen, like dark moons, stuff like that. Dark moon take you, that thing. And I think that Dromothra are sort of a counteract to that. And I also think Lorcaj is a lot like Fatime. She tricks Anur and Lorechat tricks all the children.
I can see that.
And in my piece, I explore that. Like, Namira just really, really admires that. I don't really know why Namira became my favorite, but it's just an ardent passion that I can't let go of.
Because she's gross.
Because she's what?
Because she's gross.
She is not.
She is smelly.
I love this fight.
No, she doesn't. She's not smelly.
It's, I mean, the thing with becoming a lore beard is that you find what you're passionate about and then just follow it.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
You know, and then it eventually opens up into other areas.
That's one of my favorite things about loving Namira is no one else does. So it's kind of just me out there just wallowing in the darkness.
Usually people who really like Namira really like her, and yeah, these guys take a while to like wake up.
Yeah.
DPS. I had since we're waiting, my
I remember, I think I read something about Skyreach that was like, avoid the bosses, just kill all the mobs.
Oh, there he is. I'm gonna read this out after this guy. Oh, can't do that yet. Yeah, because I have another chat that was discussing like a certain part of lore, and that was funny. That Wamasu down.
Oh man, the first time I saw Wamasu, I guess it was a couple weeks ago, I was just astounded.
So it said one of my friends made a statement saying, "Man, I sure love it when people say Sophathil wanted the Chim or the Kim or Amaranth." And my response is takes a deep breath and then like exhales loudly. And then my friend says, "I sure love it." And then my response is, I was like, there's a lot of people who think like Set is some cool pompous wizard when he's really just like a soft boy nerd, and a lot of people don't want to accept that. And then my friend's response is, "Okay, Belle, you agree with me, right? That Sophathil wouldn't entertain the notion of Kim or the Arbus being a dream any more than any scientist on Earth would ever." I'm just running around too. Then a scientist on Earth would entertain the idea of our universe being a simulation. A fun idea, but something that is impossible to objectively prove inside it. And my response is, yeah, exactly. I'll bring this up on the Lorecast, but I already bring up Sophathil too much.
I don't think that's a real thing. Bringing up Sophathil too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just an objectively false statement.
Most of my chats are just like, "Oh, Belle's here. Time to shut up about Sophathil." We're gonna be stuck in that conversation for a while.
I don't think that's true.
No, I know. I'm just like making a joke. It's like literally don't shut up about Sophathil.
He's my second favorite of the Tribunes.
I like them all equally, but I have a soft spot for Syl. I feel like
I do not like them all equally. Almalexia is.
Love AM.
AM.
I just love her less.
They're all horrible.
It's kind of
they're all horrible.
They're all horrible. It's just varying degrees of how horrible they are.
I think like Set's horribleness is something that's like it's not a good thing, but I feel like I could tolerate it more. And like, let me reiterate, it's not a good thing.
That's because your being isn't being stolen from you, and you're being left to be his librarian.
Mm-hmm.
You might feel differently.
Yeah.
Michael, why do you say that Vivek is horrible?
Oh man.
All right, let's.
Have you read the sermons?
Is Vivek chill, brother?
Listen, man, Vivek is an abusive boyfriend.
Oh, okay. How about
to everyone on Vardenfell?
What's bad about Almalexia?
She believes her own hype.
Actually, that's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it.
She seeks power, and she goes mad when she's threatened with the prospect of losing it.
I feel like she went mad because out of the three, she actually handled more, like more politics, more like worldwide. Like she was more worldly, I guess.
In her speech before you kill her, she talks about how I will be the only true God, the one true faith. That will be
Yeah, she was gonna kill Vivek if she had her way.
Yeah, she's losing her mind at that point, but I honestly feel like it was egged on because she put a lot of the responsibility of.
And I mean, I'm not saying that's not a contributing factor, but the fact that she was losing her power, she is so insecure about it.
Vivek even says that of the three, he uses his the most, but Almalexia, he says, and I quote, hoards it. And that's one of the reasons she has all her minions do all this shit for her.
It does come from a place where it's like Almalexia wants to be the one who is the merciful, the helping, like the healer. Thus she.
But she also wants to be the most badass.
Yeah, but that's because she accumulates a lot of power. Because I think she really, because people say, "Oh, so Sil's the one that cares most about his people." Like,
Almalexia
probably does. Mainly just because like that was kind of what drove her to go the opposite of what she believed in, because she so staunchly wanted to protect everyone and be the best and be the most lovable.
See, I think the theory that Andrew and I wrote really makes the tribunal an excellent, just paragons.
It makes them something more than, I don't know. They have a purpose.
Yeah.
Well, that's true of everything.
I also have another theory about how the tribunals, like they're both of their main quirks and like their pros and cons. It's just the things that are that were very evident of their personality. Things that were similar to Lorcan's personality kind of came out in them in a way that was more evident.
What do you mean?
I'm trying to think of how to describe it. So, a lot of Lorcan's original, his own flaws and things that sort of made him his own being, when they were reflected in the tribunal in their own separate ways, they became more evident after the tribunal attained godhood.
What flaw of Lorcan is reflected in the tribunal?
Actually, there's really not really one for... No, there's one for Sil. So, I would say with Vivek, there is the need to create in a creative way, his love for music and telling stories and weaving tales and things like that. That was probably a trait of Lorcan's that was already a trait of Vivek, which everyone's got traits of Lorcan in the first place. But a lot of the things that were probably traits of we didn't finish it yet.
Did we miss something?
Yeah, there's
going to the lower catacombs.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I like the path you're on, Lorcan being the best story writer of all the Ada.
And then with the AM, it was she's the one who is really good at telling lies and getting people to trust her and do things like that. He had to do that in order to create Mundus. It was kind of a charismatic lie.
In less than a minute, this XP boost is running out. So I think Skyreach might not be the best for level grinding.
Well, you have to have one person run you through it, and then you kind of do the gauntlet with the undead skeletons and stuff like that.
Yeah, this is why I'm saying that I think Spellscar probably will have been better for this. Just because I know that with Spellscar, enemies are respawning quickly and they're giving good experience each run.
Now he's
Dolmens, bro. It's all about the Dolmens.
No. Spellscar gives you more experience than Dolmens.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. When I was grinding one of my
I can give you a really good example from yesterday, because yesterday was the first time I did Spellscar. When I had spent an hour running Dolmens, I went from level 20 to level 24, just on the Alakir train. However, going into Spellscar and just teaming up with one guy, I went from level 24 to level 33 in the same amount of time that Dolmen got me.
Sunhold or Cloud Rest. It's anything that has a lot of mobs that you can kill.
Yeah. And the reason Spellscar gets good is because there's a lot of mobs that respawn in about a minute each.
And who doesn't want to just slaughter the dirty Malware?
I know, right? Bunch of assholes.
They are awful.
Get on your most Altmer character that you can possibly get on.
Maybe this one.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, at this point I have 3 Altmers, and I'm making a joke that they're triplets, and thus they're a very good number of people.
My Altmer isn't an Altmer.
Did you just say your Altmer isn't an Altmer?
Yeah, my Altmer is an alien.
My Altmer is a Dunmer.
Yeah, one of my friends
hold on
has
a second.
Altmer, and I'm serious. Like, he just has level 1 vampirism. He's like, I guess RPs as a mixed character, and also
Andrew knows all about pretending races or other races.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I have a Minotaur I'm working on.
Nice.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah,
And
with the charging.
Yeah,
This
and
guy,
then I've got a clockwork factotum.
yeah, I'm gonna try to pull them under here.
I love the factotums, the dialogue they gave them. One told me, "Hello there, entity name not found." I love that. I just walk by them just so they'll talk to me.
Yeah, I wish we could have one just sitting in our house. Just
I know, right?
dreaming.
Entity name not, and I love the poem that one wrote in the love poem quest.
Oh,
Yeah, for the crows. Yeah.
It's the only one that'll actually work.
No, they all work.
No, the other 2 don't work when I use them.
Mine worked.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, she
I
rejected
got the one about the lily.
She rejected him when I used that one. Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
She's moody bird. I love like their logic to it is we had claimed the Clockwork City by right of roost.
Question: do either of you have a merchant with you?
I only got a bank.
I need the merchant.
I need to get Nuzuma one of these days.
The Daedric ruins are also really cool that you find scattered around the place.
Yeah, and they're all kind of varied too.
I love the external architecture. That sort of it's not an onion dome, but it's kind of like the skeleton of an onion dome. I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're getting at.
I don't know what architectural term to use for it.
Oh goodness, I will be right back. I need to do something.
Oh. This guy.
I'm disappointed that Aren wasn't in Somerset.
I think they couldn't get that voice actress.
So she's still just standing in Dune.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's far too busy waging war. That's why they had to get the proxy queen in there, which I think also is a reference to Kinmune.
To what?
Might be.
Proxy queen.
What word did you say? It's a reference to what?
To Kinmune.
Kinmune.
Wait.
What is that?
Oh.
Here we go.
Kinmune is an Nth era mining proxy, who I believe her job was to mine Morehouse out of Kinnereth, like as a material.
Nth era? What are you talking about?
An
Mac.
undetermined era in the future. And so the N just being a variable. And so she was, for some reason or another, sent back in time, landed in, I think, Skyrim, was captured by the Atmorans and trapped in Sarthal in the Eye of Magnus. And she was released at some point, traveled to the Somerset Isles, and became Queen Irene.
Okay. Oh, are we talking about Kinmune now?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Can I bring up something with Kinmune?
Yeah.
I think people might have the wrong idea with her. Like the idea that she replaced Irene. Rather, I think she was always meant to be Irene. And when Irene left Somerset and started traveling the world, she came across Kinmune and they fused together.
Yeah, it's a fusion thing.
I'm open to that.
They did the
Yeah.
fusion dance.
Fusion.
And actually, I would say that it hasn't happened yet, which is why Aren is actually pretty consistent as a character.
Yeah. Well,
It'll happen. It'll happen with the rise of
the
Tiger
guy,
Septim.
the guy in Cyrodiil, who's like.
Oh
he's-
yeah,
he's
yeah,
like a
yeah, yeah.
conspiracy theorist, and he's talking about how oh yeah, Queen Iren's a robot and like something like that, or maybe it's someone making fun of conspiracy theories. Yeah, people actually think Queen Iren's a robot.
Leave it there.
My theory is that
Yeah.
it'll happen with the rise of Tiber Septim because she'll be in charge of Somerset, and yeah, he unleashes Numidium on them. And
But that's for the
maybe-
second.
That's
Yeah, come back and see
That's the second Aldmeri Dominion, correct?
that sounds suspiciously like GC9 there.
There's a reason that it sounds suspiciously like GC9.
You think Iren was the leader of the second Dominion?
Well, no, because Tiber Septim is only 200 years away from ESO.
I thought he went against the first. I mean, not the first, the second Aldmeri Dominion.
I'm pretty sure he went against the second.
That's always been my. The first one.
I'd have to look.
I'm not sure like what the period of transition was. Actually, the first transition was Elsewhere even in the second Dominion?
No, I believe the second Dominion was just Valenwood and Somerset. Hold on.
Oh, wait, weren't there Malmer too though? In it?
Maybe.
It's really weird.
Anyway, my theory is that she goes dark side.
I love that Razandar sits on the
Get him
throne.
on here.
Yeah, Raz is good people.
He is. I love it. The proxy queen is so upset, and he just says, "Look, I'm tired. I'm going to sit here and have some wine."
Right.
Please don't continue. I haven't actually started Somerset yet.
Oh, you're one of those anti-spoiler people.
Yes.
I'm an
Who
Who is
anti-spoiler.
it?
It's a
I
good.
mean, let's think about this for a moment. It's Somerset. It's a culture I deeply care about.
Yeah.
I
course
get
it's
that,
a
but at the
spoiler.
same time, I would eat Elsewhere details if someone handed it to me.
I wouldn't. I want to experience elsewhere on my own.
You're
I
gonna
will,
love-
I will. But
you're gonna love Somerset. I'm just saying that.
Somerset's really great.
All right. I think
Isn't the Cave of the Incarnate in Test 3?
Yeah.
You do?
Hmm.
I bet the statue's not as cool.
Oh, the statue's actually even better.
I will
Oh,
say
that's
this: I thought the statue of Vivek killing that insect is way better looking in Test 3 than it is in ESO, which really surprised me.
Yeah, it is definitely cooler in Test 3.
I need to actually. I'm gonna go look that up now. Cave of the Incarnate Test or Morrowind.
I like that Craglorn is a combination of 3 different cultures.
Mm,
What are those cultures?
You got because it borders High Rock, Hammerfell, and Skyrim, so you have like dragon priests and Ansei and the Regatta and all that, and then there's also some High Rock stuff.
Do you think maybe you could compare this area of Tamriel to the Levant?
Yeah,
Andrew, you think this statue is better than the one in ESO?
Oh, dude, no, I think the one in ESO is better than the one in Morrowind.
Oh, I thought you were saying it was the other way around. I was going to say this looks very.
crap.
Oh.
This is a bad idea to change my skill setup.
it's a bit of a spicy fight. The last, I forget the mechanics on the last boss. I know it's something.
Oh, okay. Chest. Okay.
Oh boy, an average glyph of shock.
Don't use it all in one place.
For you people that have played the Clockwork City before and maybe multiple times,
Me,
what is
Me.
the significance of that little place that Sothis Hill takes you to?
Oh,
at the very, very bitter end, like because he gives no details about it
are
really.
you talking about the Elegiac
About what?
replication or Elegiac
Yeah,
replication?
that's the one. Yeah, it's where he says goodbye to Vaethir, take the key of Nocturnal far away, all that.
Yeah.
Is that the place where like you unlock the mask that Sophocil is in, and then he like banishes Nocturnal?
That's,
Oh no, not that. This is where he says goodbye, and he gives you that whole speech about the prisoner and.
That place.
Yep.
Spell wrong way.
Because he says it's so special to him, and it's a testament to the way things are and shit like
It looks
that.
like it's a memorial garden.
yeah, it is.
Which-
And it's got three.
Which is
Actually,
awfully sentimental for him
I
because
know, right?
It's referenced in Sophocil and the Scribe.
It
Read
kind
that.
of looks like a memorial garden to Nerevar.
It's not.
What is it?
It's hard to describe. It's referenced. Okay, so have you guys read Sophocil and the Scribe? I know I talk about it a lot.
You talking about
Um,
that Almalexia homily of his?
Or it's basically a Sijic mage talking about how they're having an interaction with Sophocil, and it's written in a way that's kind of like it could be implied that this is a developer speaking about their own experiences writing for Sophocil.
Oh yeah,
As
no, I've not read it then.
And the nature of Sijic mages is like it could be a very timeless sort of conversation that it just kind of exists outside of time, so it can be any sort of concept or idea.
Mhm.
And in it, he talks about how I think Sophocil says something about like, you put Roland tear, or you have Roland tears, and then Sophocil calls it clever, and then the scribe says no, it's manipulative. And I believe it's a reference to the Elegiac replication, because there's a bunch of Roland's tears there, like a lot of them. And I feel like the writer made that themselves as like just kind of a little personal like tribute, or just like they're developing this area, and so the Sill is looking over it, like looking over the writer's work, and it's just like, oh, I see you made this thing here, and it's Roland's tears, which are the flowers that represent the tribunal. And he's like, well, that's impressive. And then he says, no, it's manipulative, because he's just trying to like figure out how to write him. It's a very strange book, but that's kind of how I feel like that whole location is. It's not so much, and Sophocil still is a bit sentimental. I mean, that's the whole reason why he has the Mnemonic planisphere, is to get rid of the sentiment so that he could think clearly.
Is that is that where he's imprisoned? The planosphere?
No,
That
that's the library.
Yeah, the planisphere is where he extracts his memories into star data.
Which
And
I think it's interesting that he stores them as stars.
Yeah.
yeah,
Instead of as like, hey, here's some water. Like, so there's a connection to memory and stars, which I mean, I guess Nemele already does that.
yeah, it's Magna Gee.
Yeah,
I think it's awfully I want to say arrogant, but he's not arrogant about it. He's so
I
for lack of a
think
better word, he's so certain that he is certain about everything.
it's not so much arrogance, it's just that
No,
I think
arrogance is
that-
not the right word. It's just that's what word you would usually describe somebody as who says that they are certain.
He's very cocksure.
so
No, he's not even that. He's humble about it.
Cocksure has a negative connotation to it.
yeah,
He's very certain.
Yeah, he's very certain about his certainty.
clarity.
It's very matter of fact. Just like, yes, I'm certain of absolutely everything. I'm not sure I believe that.
Yeah, let's head to the spell scar after this, because I'm pretty sure the spell scar might level me faster.
Yeah, you can do that. Wow, it's 1 o'clock. That's fine. I'm not going to work in 2 days.
I got up
Yeah,
at
I mean,
2 a.m.
who does
2
that,
p.m.
right?
What
today. So
was I thinking of just now? the Clockwork City is also just it's basically it's kind of like an astrolabe. It's just kind of it's got like the whole structure and everything of the Arbus, but it's not the Arbus. It's actually not even anything.
Yeah, because he says it's meant to destroy the Daedra, at least in part. He mentioned a bunch of other things.
Yeah, it represents represents a noble goal, I guess, of like destroying the Daedra, defeating evil. But it's all built upon a lattice of corpses. Something. Do you understand? Yes, no, maybe.
He loves it when you say maybe, because he's like, that's the word I want.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe is
please more.
Yeah, the word I covet above all others.
But I think also Lorcan would probably say the same thing. Maybe is a word that he probably covered above all others.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe
Lorcan was certain.
Uncertainty is the joy of life.
What is it that Sothasil says? People do not comprehend the luxury of doubt, or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I forget what's his name who has that quote where it's like, if you were to be able to dream anything that you wanted to dream, eventually, like, you would get bored of everything being so predictable in your dreams. So you'd be like, okay, I'm going to make this unpredictable, and then I'm going to change this up, and then I'm going to make sure I don't know what's going to happen this next day, and eventually, like, you would be dreaming yourself into the position that you are right now.
Immortal.
Well, not really immortal. You'd just be like, you would dream yourself into a point of uncertainty that you are in the exact same place that you're in right now. And I think that's kind of like what Sothasil sees the prisoner as being, is someone who's dreamed themselves to the point to where they are in a whole nother state of uncertainty. And that's I
would dream myself into a position of a little more money.
Yeah, but then
tiny bit more.
A little bit more.
I mean, yeah, you could probably just like alter things, like ever so slightly. But if you had the total ability to change anything to be the way that you want it to be, it would get really stale after a while.
Yes, it would.
That's why I don't play creative in Minecraft.
Yeah. Good way to put it.
Sothasil said that himself. He says that's why I don't play creative in Minecraft. I mean, what do you think he's doing in the Throne of Lion? He's got the VR headset. He's playing.
I'm not sure why he bothers doing anything, because he's sort of an active Haskell.
He doesn't want to.
No, why did you go inside the spell scar?
I thought that's what you wanted to do.
No, I just meant to go around the place and farm enemies.
Okay.
Like, do you think Dias and Sothasil have comparable levels of knowledge?
Because
when we talk to Dias, he talks about knowing like every birth, every death, the rise of Tiber Septim, the fall of Numidium, all this other stuff. I mean, that's every birth, every death. That's absurd. Like, that's an absurd amount of knowledge.
I appreciate. Take these screenshots. There we go. Okay, now
I wonder what the difference therein is.
I also, me and Trainwiz like had a conversation about how there's a lot of like similarities between Jigalog and Sothasil, and I think in that entire conversation we didn't even say Jigalog once. We called him something else, like Jigglypuff. I don't know.
Jiggy.
Jiggaliggy.
Get jiggy with it.
Yeah.
That's all the Grey March is the Mad God saying, let's get jiggy with it.
I remember seeing with ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da-da.
That's the Grey March. That music spreading.
That's whenever a chick where it's like, oh, he's coming, and you hear that in the background. It's getting closer.
Oh, Lord, he coming.
Oh, Lord, he coming.
Oh, crap. I just picked up.
I admire Sothasil for, quote unquote, playing along with the dream, if he is indeed as certain as he is.
He doesn't want to be certain. He's just certain.
I know, but I mean, like, if I were that certain, I mean, like,
It
I-
sucks.
for playing along with it though, Dias just says, "Whatever, I'll just sit here."
Whatever. I'll just sit here. Well,
But like Sotha Sil, like he even says, like I just go along with what Almalexia and Vivek do when it comes to godhood stuff because they, it means a lot to them. So it's like an indulgent.
like 3 roommates. AM's the one who works night shifts as a bouncer, and Vivek is the kind of it's a
starving artist.
Yeah, he's a starving artist, and Sotha Sil's the one who never leaves his computer. Always has like the best PC out of everyone. And he's just always playing something. Like it's never leaves his room. He comes out and he just has like bags under his eyes, and he doesn't look like he's been eating.
That's why he has red eyes. He's been staring at his screen all day.
Oh,
He wants to look like the Dunmer. He's just
they're like,
up
oh,
forever.
You want to be humble and look like a dumb. He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that why you did it, my lord Sotha Sil? Yeah.
No, his skin just got ashy because he just didn't take care of himself, and his eyes were red because he never sleeps.
But he's not worried about it because he's a god. He can't really die from not
VR.
taking care of himself. The Bardal thing in ESO was just fantastic. With the fact and all
Nocturnal's just like, Mom said it's my turn on the throne of life.
What do y'all think of Devaith Fear?
I have
He's
thoughts.
awesome.
Bro.
Kind of a prick.
I mean,
He's a-
the level of arrogance he has.
I mean,
Okay.
I know that
It's
either
astonishing.
eventually or already he does make female clones of themselves to be his daughters and concubines and wives.
Nope,
Yeah.
wives.
And if
not
you don't think that's the hottest
concubines,
shit, get the
wives.
fuck out.
He's contemplating whether having sex with your clone is incest or masturbation.
There's just like there's sentient people, and he keeps them stuck in their towers. I'm like, please let them go. Please, Savea, don't be weird.
Wait a minute, Andrew. I'll need an ethical ruling on that. Which is it?
It gets creepy. It's a little creepy.
It's called disciplining your mother.
Yeah, I mean,
Here's some. Y'all want to hear my headcanon on the Vaith Fear?
Yeah, sure.
So his clones are female because the Vaith Fear is trans. I love the
maybe.
silence.
Why wouldn't he just make himself female?
Because they have their
like-
own. So like he doesn't. Like they don't have dysphoria.
okay, I counter your question, Mac, with another. Why the fuck not?
Why the fuck not? What?
Why wouldn't he make clones female? Like
That's not what I asked. I said, why would he not make himself female?
wow.
I love these astronauts. They look
I'm
cool.
sure he probably has at some point.
Probably. Just because he's bored.
It's
He went through the experience. It's like, it's fine.
He got bored of the tits and he was like, nah, this ain't for me.
I'll just be
That's a bit
female on
too
the
much.
inside. It's a lot of transgender stuff in Morrowind if Devaith Fear is transgender.
He was just like, oh, Vec made it look cool.
But I mean, like the way he talks is like Sotha Sil is his peer.
Oh yeah, so I was writing a
I
very
mean,
small.
wouldn't he technically be older than Sotha Sil?
Yeah, he is.
I don't know because like don't the divine like Almsavi goes back and writes itself into the past kind of thing.
Maybe.
I think also there's a lot of Sijic stuff involved. Who knows? But he actually is older than Sil.
Like Sotha Sil's body, at least.
Sil isn't even that old. I mean,
But
yeah,
I'm
he
talking
is.
about like Vivek claims that he birthed the entire universe. So if he did that, he's the oldest.
But we know he claims that, but I'm fairly certain he's lying.
But remember, Vivek is Anu.
Yeah.
No, he isn't.
Yes, Michael, read our theory and love it.
About that.
Vivek is Anu's self-insert because Vivek recognized that he is the dreamer.
Yeah.
But the
It could
thing
be any-
there is that then it's therefore Anu making
off,
a
Nuke.
false claim.
Well, I mean,
about his
if we're
character.
being really technical, everybody's the oldest because it's all Anu. I mean,
Can you despawn Nuzima? I keep talking to her on accident. She's really talkative today, and she doesn't shut up.
Who's talking?
Nozima.
A merchant.
Yeah, because I keep pressing E to loot, and then like I keep talking to Nozima instead.
If only I could have that problem.
I always hear from the bank, dude.
I'm gonna
To stop
titties out.
Alexander Cannell from taking the Coral Heart.
I call them titties, so you gotta get titties out. Titties out, Luke.
Hey, Andrew, you're a fan of Black Mirror, aren't you?
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Have you seen that new film that they put out?
What's that?
The Bandersnatch movie that they made, Black Mirror Bandersnatch?
Yeah, I haven't seen
Isn't
it.
that the guy that plays Sherlock?
No, it's not Benedict Cumberbatch. No, I don't. You're the second person to think that. Like, that's interesting.
No, because you said Bandersnatch, and I'm like,
Oh, that's the joke. I've been missing that. Then I was like, no, people, he doesn't look like no. Missing the joke.
he's got that Altmer look.
Sorry, it happens to me too.
It's a very, very interesting movie. Anyway, I think I'll like it.
Like someone has actually seriously thought he was.
Well, I want to try. I want to try and get the version that's like over 90 minutes long.
I don't think you can do one that's under 90 minutes, to be honest, because you will inevitably pick one of these branch.
There's at least one iteration that is 40 minutes or so.
There's
Wait,
there's one iteration that's 30 minutes. I mean,
All right. If I can
Don't
give
move.
you guys a bit of information about this, the whole 90-minute thing, that's actually because that's a minimum requirement for a feature-length film. Like, in order for a film to be shown in theaters, I ended up learning this because of MediaTek while I was making movies. But in order to be shown in theaters, a film must be
no,
at
it's not
least
in that
90
though.
minutes.
It's in Netflix.
I go to my house momentarily in decon.
It's basically it's a choose your own adventure kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And like the different routes it can take are just very interesting. I won't spoil anything for you. It's
Yeah, please
it's
don't.
really, I would not. It's just really cool because choose your own adventure put on a one of the hugest entertainment platforms ever. It's really cool. No one's done it before.
I like to see innovation like that.
Yep.
Speaking of choose your own adventure, so you guys know the program Twine?
No.
Okay, well it's basically like you can make a choose your own adventure game with that.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I've seen that.
So I've actually I wrote out like the bare bones. Ooh, advanced chest. I'm actually writing like a short-ish little like Elder Scrolls thing that's related to Fourth Era High Rock. It's a little bit after Skyrim's timeline, and it's about all of my Illuminati Bretons.
Oh god.
Nice.
And I'll probably be done with it this year. Who knows? I never finish projects.
I mean, yeah,
Sometimes I do.
occasionally.
Kitty.
Is that just kind of a curse, though? Never finishing project.
I've finished a couple things before sometimes.
I make myself feel better. I just say that every issue of the Telmora is another project. But
I feel guilty when when like 2 or 3 days goes by and I haven't started on something new. Like I just feel
Yeah,
guilty.
see,
I really need to get going on.
God damn it!
Next
Fucking,
issue.
I'm trying to sell things to Nuzume.
What were you
And I
saying,
just
Andrew?
can't because we keep going into combat.
So I really need to get going on this next issue here.
Yeah, are we doing that meeting thing sometime?
Yeah, at some point. I gotta figure out when.
all right, it's daytime in my house.
I gotta wait for a time where I don't have my son that I've gotta placate. Because I mean, every 5 minutes it's something else. That's just parenthood.
This is why children rob you of godhood. You just can't. You don't have the time to be a god.
That's a bleak way of looking at it, sir.
well,
Wow.
Well, that's
in test, to have children is to not be God anymore. Look at Raymond.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Look at the Altmer and where they come from. You had children and
Someone
got
knocking on my
anymore.
window. Oh no, it's actually my cat. Okay. I heard like a knock on my window. Sometimes my friends come by, and it was actually my cat knocking on my window.
All right, I'm replacing my familiar with Rune Cage because I really need to level dark magic.
Oh man, tomorrow the new Christopher Paolini Inheritance Cycle book comes out. Oh, I'm excited.
Wow, he's really tearing up my window.
It'll be fun.
Well, just since we've been playing in these last couple hours, I've gained 3 champion points.
Yeah, same. I don't know how many. Yeah, I think it's 3 total.
I
Just deconning everything.
think I'm gonna tag out, guys.
Okay.
I should hear soon, but it's my cat once inside. He's like, I didn't finish my surveys. Oh well, I like to refine all my materials at once because I'll usually end up with like a 1K rubidite or something like that.
Oh yeah. I do that too.
I like to see how many. Yeah, I'm at 602. When I finish, I'm gonna probably be at like
Look
twice
at
that
this
much.
fucking forest of dead frost atronachs. Look at this.
Yeah, it's great.
They learned their lesson.
How many times we gotta teach you this lesson, old man?
Disembodied frost atronach legs.
Me and Molig Ball. When every time I do the main story. Alright, the jewelry station. Try to get this guy's jewel crafting all the way. Fuck that. So yeah. Any other discussions?
None that comes to mind, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it's 1 o'clock. My brain is off. Normally, I used to have I think like a couple years ago, 1 o'clock was usually when my brain was the most active.
Yeah.
But now I work a normal people schedule. I'm not a freelance artist anymore.
Well, I think I'm gonna end the stream. I'm gonna log out of ESO. I'm gonna get some water, and then I'm gonna fuck around in Minecraft for a little while.
So log on my Aliad for a second, so y'all can see. Or I'll just show you on the character menu.
I'm gonna log out as well.
This is actually my Aliad's house, so you can see before I go to the character screen. There's like a little Vulcan stone thing there. So what's an Aliad without Vulcan stones?
Toads.
I had a clever answer for that, but I forgot.
Yeah, it's too late.
Yeah.
I say totes, but I
love the Nord in the background here.
Oh.
The Nagakura is grabbing him a husband.
Yeah. He's certainly about to erect some spines.
I wish I booted ESO off an SSD card, but I don't. And these loading screens would probably be a little less painful. And before Michael says anything about playing on console. Really? ESO?
Does anyone remember the name of the Akaviri Potentate Versaduche's son? Oh, there it is. I found
the one in 2029.
Severian Chorak. That's it.
What's a name? Yeah, this is my this is my my Iliad healer. He's invisible, and now there he is.
Ah, there he is.
Yeah, he's very Iliad looking. There's my Tilvani. She's a fire mage, so I gave her some cool gauntlets. She's also Sijic. And this is my vampire Khajiit.
Fun.
She loves to murder, and I have a virus too. And I got Slunk's big gang weed. Totally serious character.
Oh, absolutely. Of course, what's not serious about him?
Yeah. Probably gonna end this stream real quick.
Alright.
Alrighty,
If you pull this lever, Harambe will die. If you don't, he will live. Which do you value more? Harambe or the idea of Harambe? For if
It's
he
already
lives,
dead.
he will never be appreciated.
Harambe is what's done is done.
Yeah.
Bringing back Harambe doesn't make the choice. Doesn't make the point about cruelty that Harambe faced. Like he died a hero. You can't take that
True
away from
hero.
him. So I went to QuakeCon in 2016, and there was a giant Harambe shrine.
Oh boy.
And even like Todd came by and saw Todd Howard. Like I think because he was there, like it was before. I don't know, like he could still kind of walk around, but he was like there in like the first or like the first day, whenever, because I had like what's it called, like journalist passes, and we weren't like supposed to talk to him, but we could just watch him. But yeah. People were setting up some really interesting things. I think that was also the Fallout 4. Yeah, it was a Fallout 4 presentation. But yeah, that was a really good QuakeCon, mainly because there was a giant Harambe tribute. It was just a big cardboard cutout of Harambe, and people put a bunch of they put like dollar bills, like little like trinkets, and there was a couple slices of pizza that had been left there the entire time.
Wild.
That's getting weird.
It was pretty weird. It was funny though. And then I think one of the nights, like the entire time they played on the giant screens in QuakeCon, they played the Shia LaBeouf "Just Do It" on loop constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's too fun.
QuakeCon gets weird sometimes.
It's like 1:16, so I'm gonna hop off.
Yeah, same here.
Until next week, when we come up with weirder ideas, and I may or may not have written the essay. At this point, Schrodinger's essay, it both does and does not exist.
Yeah.
All right, friends. Take care.
A word
You
I cover all else. All right, goodbye.
So long.